and Joseph Davis are suing Edmund and Renee Feller for their son's medical bills and pain and suffering. The plaintiffs claim the Feller son attacked him with a plastic bat.
All rise.
Yeah, it's case number 205 on the calendar, the matter of Anderson Davis versus Feller.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Mr. Davis, Miss Anderson, it is your claim that the defendant's son attacked your son with a bat.
Yes, ma'am.
And injured him.
Yes, ma'am.
You want them to pay the medical bills, the
Yes, ma'am.
emergency room bills, and also an amount for pain and suffering.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. and Mrs. Feller say boys will be boys. And they are counterclaiming because they say that you have defamed their son and them, really harassed them by reporting this incident to the school, by seeing to it that their children or their son doesn't go into the park. So they have a counterclaim, which is pretty much nonsense. Is this your son?
Yes, ma'am.
How old is he?
He's 10.
Is he afraid of me?
No, ma'am.
Great. Why don't you stand up next to your folks? Tell me your first name.
Jeffrey.
Jeffrey, you want to stand there with your folks, or you want to come sit up here?
Sit up there.
Come on. Do you remember when this incident happened with, I assume, this young man right here?
No, Your Honor.
Do you remember when it happened?
Yes, ma'am. May 17th, 2007.
Tell me what happened on May 17th, because you folks say that it happened on May 17th.
Me and Andrew were just play fighting.
Play fighting how?
Like wrestling. And Justine and her two friends came up and hitting the plastic golf clubs.
Who's Justine?
Their daughter.
How old is Justine?
6.
Was she hitting both of you?
No, Your Honor.
Who was she hitting?
Me.
Did it hurt?
Yes, Your Honor.
What did you say to her?
I said quit it, and she still did it.
Was Mrs. Feller outside when this was going on?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did she say anything to the girls when they were hitting you?
No, Your Honor.
Because they were playing, right? Don't shake your head, sir. You weren't there, were you?
No, ma'am.
Just your wife was there.
Yes, ma'am.
Why didn't you stop the children from hitting him?
I didn't see them hitting him, otherwise it was stopped. Anytime that there was that kind of hitting and stuff, it was stopped. If I would have seen it.
Just a second. Miss Feller, what do you mean anytime there was that kind of hitting, it was stopped? Who stopped them? I'm speaking.
Sorry.
Who stopped them is the question.
I did.
So you saw them at some point using golf clubs to hit each other?
Not the golf club. I stopped the bat at the final incident. That's what I saw.
You stopped who from using a bat?
When Andrew and Jeffrey got into it. That's what I stopped and saw. I did not see the golf club incident.
But you were outside all the time.
And we have a large yard.
You were outside all the time. I don't believe you.
Okay.
I want to know which one of you two geniuses wrote down boys will be boys. Which one? That would be you, genius?
That would be me.
So after the girls were hitting you, the young little girls, so they were smaller, but you told them to stop. Then what happened?
Dakota's bat was like hollow. He was my friend, and then his like small bat was not that hard and stuff. It was like foam bat. It was hollow. So I hit her. I didn't hit her that hard because
you hit who?
Justine.
You hit Justine because she was hitting you with the
plastic golf club.
And then what happened?
And then Andrew came out of the house with a wiffle bat.
And?
Then I went into the fetal position.
You mean crunched over like this?
Yes, Your Honor.
What did Andrew say to you when he came out?
He was like, "Rah," with the bat in his hand.
And where was his mother?
Sitting on the porch.
Did you see her?
No, Your Honor.
How did you know she was on the porch?
Because I was over by their house, and when Andrew came out with the bat, she was just sitting on the porch.
So she was sitting out on the porch when he walked out of the door with the bat?
Yes, Your Honor.
And what did he do when he walked out with the bat?
He started running after me, and so I went in the fetal position. Then he started hitting me with it, and the kidneys, and the arms, and the legs.
And what was his mother doing?
Just sitting there.
Did she eventually stop him?
No, Your Honor, because I went to my house screaming and crying.
How did you get away from him?
He stopped.
So you went to your house?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you go to the emergency room that day?
Yes, Your Honor.
Go sit down.
Yes, Your Honor.
How old are you, Andrew?
9.
Why did you hit him with the bat?
Because he hit my sister.
Did you see your sister and your friends hitting him with the golf clubs?
No.
You didn't? Where were you?
I was inside.
Was your sister playing with plastic golf clubs?
Yes.
Now, you went inside and got a bat. When you went inside and got the bat, where were your sisters?
My sister came inside and she was crying.
So you just went and got the bat. How come you stopped hitting him?
I stopped hitting him because...
Now, your mother says you stopped hitting him because she told you to stop. Is that true or is that a lie?
she told me to stop.
So she must have seen what was going on. Hmm?
Yes,
How many times did you hit him before your mother told you to stop?
2 or 3.
And then your mother told you to stop.
Yes.
Now you can sit down. Can I see the medical reports, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you hit his sister as well?
No,
Well, how did she get injured on the arm?
I don't know.
Sister? Here, please. Tell me your name.
Brittany,
Brittany, how old are you?
11.
Did you get hit that day?
Yes.
Tell me how that happened.
I was defending my brother.
How were you defending him?
I pushed Andrew off of him.
So Andrew had a bat,
Yes.
and he was hitting him.
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you see Andrew's mother?
Yes, Your Honor.
Where was she?
Sitting on the porch.
So you could see her.
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you see her when Andrew came out with the bat?
Yes, Your Honor.
His mother didn't stop him?
No, Your Honor.
Where were you hit?
In the shoulder.
Were you okay?
After when we got to the hospital, I know my brother was safe. Then I started crying because it hurt so bad.
Go and sit. Thank you.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You should probably just say I wasn't there. And I don't take responsibility for her. She's an adult.
I do take responsibility for it.
Well, she's an idiot.
That's your opinion.
I know she's an idiot. I know she's an idiot.
And later today,
You provided your daughter with a weapon.
But she was with a licensed driver, ma'am.
Not when this happened, otherwise you wouldn't be standing here.
10-year-old Jeffrey Keach claims neighbor, 9-year-old Andrew Feller, beat him with a plastic bat. Andrew's parents, Edmund and Renee Feller, are countersuing for defamation of character.
I'll hear you.
Andrew did hit Jeffrey, and as soon as I saw it, I stopped it, and I did feel bad about the whole incident there. As soon as I saw it, I went running and screaming and said, knock it off, and sent Andrew to his room and checked out Jeffrey. I was really concerned, and, you know, wasn't that, I was just like, whatever. I went running.
That's not what I'm hearing. It's not what I'm hearing from your son. It's not what I'm hearing from her. Did you see your daughter go into the house crying?
Yes, I'm the one who talked to Justine.
Did you talk to her before or after your son came out with the bat?
The bat was outside, and it was before Andrew did anything.
Don't speak. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you speak to your daughter as to why she was crying before or after your son hit this young man with the bat?
I was talking to her during, like, it was a big, fast ordeal. She came running by me. I ran in the house. What's wrong? What's wrong? Andrew was going to the bathroom. He heard it, ran outside. You know, and then as soon as I saw him go out there and I heard screaming, I ran back out there and broke it up as soon as I could. And it was Jeffrey on the ground, Andrew on top of Jeffrey, and Brittany on top of Andrew, trying to get Andrew. So it was like Jeffrey and Brittany said with the...
Did your son have to pass you with the bat before he went outside?
He had to get the bat from outside because that's where the toys are kept.
Is that right?
No, Your Honor.
He got the bat from inside.
Yes, Your Honor.
All of our toys are kept
Don't
outside.
tell me all of your toys are kept outside. He went inside to get the bat. You want to say anything? You should probably just say I wasn't there. And I don't take responsibility for her. She's an adult.
I do take responsibility for
Well,
it.
she's an idiot. She's an idiot.
That's your opinion.
I know she's an idiot. I know she's an idiot. Because he was severely injured.
They did never...
This is the first we ever heard of this, Sandy.
They never brought us hospital reports or anything like that, so we haven't even seen...
When, for the first time, did you go over to their house to find out how their son was? My question is a very simple one, Miss Feller. When, on May 17th, after you say you saw your son beating him with a bat, when did you go over to their home to find out how their son was?
I did not after...
Ah, right.
After
you
the
did not
cop
on the
came to my
17th.
house.
You did not uncross your arms. You did not on the 17th. Did you go over on the 18th?
No.
Did you go over on the 19th?
No.
Real grown up.
We were instructed to have no contact with him.
From the police officer
That they called and
came
sent to our
the
house.
Well, what did you think that they should do? Their son was beaten. They had to take him to an emergency room. What did you think that they should do? Come over and send you a pie? Your wife was sitting on the porch watching this whole scenario unfold.
The day that this incident happened, Andrew had 2 black eyes from Jeffrey. So it isn't always that my son's the big bully. There's
Just 1 second. I didn't say he was a big bully. What I said was his sister got hit. And his sister got hit because you sat there on the porch while they were fighting, wrestling around. No instruments, no nothing. But then the little girls came, the 6-year-olds came, and they were sort of knocking him around with a plastic golf club. He acknowledges that. So?
He's 10 years old.
He told them to stop. Why didn't you stop them? Why didn't you? You're not 10 years old.
If he would have said stop, they would have stopped.
Why didn't you stop them?
I did not see it happening.
Yes, you did. Oh, please. Some people are better off childless. You are suing them for $5,000, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
I've read the medical reports. He was not disabled, but he was hit in the kidneys and he was hit in the back and he had bruising on the back, and all of your medical bills are going to be covered.
Yes,
If
ma'am.
it wasn't for stupidity, I would seriously reserve judgment on the $5,000 reward, which includes pain and suffering. But she just doesn't get it.
No, ma'am.
Just doesn't get it. Doesn't get the fact that it's your responsibility to see to it that even if your 6-year-old is behaving badly, you stop her. You get off your cell phone, you get off your porch, and you get off your behind, and you go outside and say you're not supposed to do that. And if you see your son go out there to give him a beating, which is what you probably wanted him to do, because your little 6-year-old came in crying, and you could have stopped him before he struck him the first time. You chose not to do that. You're going to pay her $5,000. And if they went to the school to report his bad behavior, which is really your bad behavior, and if they went to the park to say maybe you ought to watch him because he can be dangerous, that's their prerogative. So your counterclaim's dismissed. Goodbye, good luck, have a happy life. That's it. Goodbye.
Your Honor.
Parties are excused when they step out.
That is not at all what happened there.
He justified Andrew hitting my son.
You're out of here.
No, they're teaching their children to lie.
My children finally won.
You made our son cry.
I made the right choice by coming here today.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Mosley versus Smith. Step forward.
Calandra Mosley is suing the father of her daughter's former friend, Leonard Smith, for the cost of a rental car and impound fees.
Mrs. Mosley, your daughter borrowed your car.
Yes.
For an evening out with her friends.
With a friend.
Oh,
Yes.
with a friend.
Yes.
And they did whatever they did. Your daughter's going to tell me where they went. On the way home, she got a little tired, right? You didn't feel like driving home, so you asked Miss Smith to drive home. Is that right?
Yes.
And Miss Smith, according to you, made a U-turn in front of a policeman and got pulled over.
Yes.
What did she get pulled over for?
The police officer said because we didn't have license plates on the car.
Didn't have license plates.
Yeah.
Anyway, got pulled over. Your car was impounded.
Yes.
It was impounded for 30 days, a brand new
Correct.
car.
Yeah.
And you believe that Mr. Smith is responsible for the fees that you had to incur to get your car out because his daughter was driving.
Correct.
We'll see. Why didn't the car have license plates? Had you lost them?
No, we had just got the car.
In any event, the car was impounded then, must have been because she had no license.
Correct.
Okay. And you think that that's Mr. Smith's fault?
I believe as a minor, he's responsible for his child. Yes, I do.
Now, how old are you?
17.
You have a driver's license?
You know, I have my permit.
Are you allowed to be out without a licensed driver at night?
It was a licensed driver in the car with me.
Who?
The person we went to the bowling alley with.
I thought your mother said that you were going with only one other person.
She went with him. Don called her while they were out
Just a
together.
second. You left your house in the car. Who was with you?
My next door neighbor.
Who was that?
My friend. She was going with us.
Name?
Heaven.
What?
That's a lie.
Yeah, she just told a fib. She just told a big fib. Who was in the car with her?
A boy named Xavier. No, we went to go pick him up from his house. He wasn't in the car. How would she know? She was with her boyfriend. She called me to go pick her up, so I did.
She wasn't at my house when my daughter left. She was at her
Who was in the
boyfriend's
car
house.
when you got stopped?
Don.
What happened to Heather?
After we went to go pick her up, I was going to drop her off. back at my house, and me, Heaven, and Xavier were going to go to the bowling alley. She said she wanted to come with us.
How were you supposed to get home? You didn't have a licensed driver with you.
I was going to drive.
But you can't drive. You have no license. And if the police officer had pulled you over, your car would have been impounded, right?
Yeah.
Why did you give her the keys to the car?
Because I was tired.
Why didn't you call your mother if you were tired?
I don't know. We were already on our way home.
You can't be on your way home. You're not allowed to drive. Neither is she. Do you understand, Miss Mosley?
I do understand.
Do you understand that if there had been an accident in the car and she had gotten hurt, even if she were driving, you would no longer have a house?
I do understand that, but I was not aware that Don called her to pick her up. When my daughter left, she did not leave with Don.
Let me explain something to you. Your daughter's 17 years old?
Yes.
I could fill volumes about what you don't know.
I believe that.
You know what she wants to tell you.
That's correct.
And she wants to tell you as little as possible.
I'll tell my mother everything, so.
Do you tell your mother that you've been driving around in this car without a licensed driver when you're not supposed to?
Yeah.
So she knows that. I'm asking you a question.
Yes, she does.
So she knows that. Miss Mosley, you lose your house and your car.
I'm completely aware of that, and it has not happened since.
Well,
I'm completely
but it
aware
happened
of
this
that.
time.
Yes, it did, and it's very unfortunate that it did.
It happened this time, and you're responsible. Not Mr. Smith. You're lucky he didn't sue you.
But his daughter chose to get behind the wheel.
Your daughter gave her the keys.
So if a child is walking down the street and they throw a rock at the car, the parent is not responsible?
Listen to me, madam.
Okay.
You provided your daughter with a weapon.
But she was with a licensed driver, ma'am.
You provided, not when this happened, otherwise you wouldn't be standing here. You provided your daughter with a weapon. Weapon is an automobile being driven by somebody who doesn't have a license to drive, therefore lacks the judgment, in the judgment of the state, to drive a car independently. You chose to let your daughter drive the car knowing that she had a history of driving the car without a licensed driver in the car, and that's what the law says she has to have. She had your permission, and it's just the same as if you gave permission to this young lady to drive the car.
I didn't know that she was with her.
Listen to me. You're not following me,
No,
madam.
I guess
You
I'm
put
not.
on your listening ears.
Okay.
If you gave her permission to drive the car, it is exactly the same thing as you giving her permission to drive the car because you were relying on her judgment to do the right thing. By giving the keys to the car to your daughter that night.
But she was with a licensed driver, ma'am, when she left. She was with a licensed driver.
Miss Mosley, your daughter has just told me that there have been other occasions when you've allowed your daughter to drive the car without a licensed driver in the car. Now, is your daughter a liar?
No, she's not.
Well, then you did the wrong thing.
Okay. I did the wrong thing.
Then you did the wrong thing, and then you used bad judgment not only for yourself, but you used bad judgment in allowing your daughter to take the car again that night. And if by virtue of what you did, anything happened to this young lady, Mr. Smith could sue you because of your bad judgment. He didn't exercise bad judgment that night. You did. She doesn't drive your car, does she?
No.
Because she doesn't have a...
license.
Right. That's the reason. Do you understand now, Miss Mosley?
I
So if
understand.
you had your car impounded, how much did it cost you?
Over $1,400.
That was an expensive lesson. Your case is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step.
18-year-old Amanda Peters is suing her ex-roommate, 19-year-old Holly Ward, for breaking a lease, stealing money, and for damaging the bumper of her car.
All rise. Quiet in the courtroom. That's case number 207 on the calendar, the matter of Peters versus Ward.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated, sir. Have a seat, please.
Ms. Peters, you and Miss Ward were roommates. It is your claim that after a failed road trip that didn't work out as well as you expected, Ms. Ward decided to stay home.
Yes.
And she left you in the lurch with the lease. You want her to pay the rent. In addition, you say that she stole some money from you and that she at some point damaged your car. You want her to pay for that.
Yes.
Ms. Ward says she was pregnant, decided to stay home with her parents, I assume, that she denies taking any of your money, and she says that the damage to the car just didn't happen. She also says that your boyfriend moved in with you into the apartment and he wasn't paying his fair share of the rent. So, is this your boyfriend?
Yes.
How many people signed the lease to the apartment?
2. Me and Holly.
Did Holly have a boyfriend living with her?
No.
Or your boyfriend was living with you?
He wasn't living there. He was.
Yeah, he is.
yes,
He
he
lives
was.
there. He lives there. Don't tell me he wasn't living there. He lives there.
Okay.
Don't speak unless I speak to you. Do you want me to get the address that you listed, sir, when you filled out the forms for this program?
Yes.
Do you want me to get the forms that you filled out with the address?
I put 718.
And who lives there?
My mother.
What's your mother's phone number?
She doesn't have a phone.
Oh, everybody has a phone,
But
sir.
there's a number you could reach her at, but she don't have a phone herself.
You get what I'm saying to you, madam?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. When did you sign this lease with the defendant?
On December 1st, 2006.
And when did you take this road trip?
In the beginning of April, like April
15th.
Where's the father of this baby that you're having?
In Ohio.
And where are you living now?
Alabama.
Who went on the road trip?
The three of us.
Whose car did you use?
Amanda's.
You got stopped and you were all arrested for drug possession, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
What happened with your case?
I got 2 years probation.
What about you?
I just got charged as a misdemeanor and got fined. She got charged with all that because she was pregnant.
I got charged
doing
with a
drugs while
misdemeanor
she
and got
was
a
pregnant.
We all three got, well, me and Amanda got charged with possession too.
And what about you?
I did 31 days because wouldn't nobody sign for me.
No, he got 30 days because he had prior possessions.
No, I got 30 days. That is untrue, Your Honor.
Now, what is the rent?
It's $500 a month.
Stand up. Your last name?
Lucky, L-E-C-K-E-Y.
I'm not so sure.
I heard that.
Who do you work for?
I work for Ford.
What do you do for them?
I clean cubicle offices.
What kind of work do you do, Miss Peters?
I'm a waitress.
Fine. Mr. Lucky,
Yes.
you may have to kick in for some rent, sir. Do you understand?
I wasn't standing there at the time.
Well, now
Yes, he was.
Now, just a second. Just a second. Now you can stay there.
Well, she shouldn't have signed
Lucky.
my lease.
Mr. Lucky, when did you arrive from Ohio?
We arrived Tuesday.
24th.
You arrived Tuesday.
Yesterday.
Shh.
Yes.
And where are you staying?
I'm staying at the Sheraton Hotel.
And where are you staying, Miss Peters?
At the Sheraton Hotel.
In the same room?
Yes.
And when you go back to Ohio, you're going to go back and stay with your mother. Is that what you're telling me?
And yes,
I'm
after
giving you
this case
permission. You
matter.
could stay with Miss Peters.
I didn't
And now
want to
you're
stay
going to
with
pay.
her because
And now
of
you're
this
going to pay
issue.
the rent. Sit down.
No,
Who brought the marijuana into the car?
All three of us did.
That wasn't mine.
no.
All
Holly
three of
did.
us did. All three
Holly
of us
did.
did. We all three went to jail for the possession.
It's not what I asked you. I said, who brought it into the car?
Holly.
Holly.
Lucky. I didn't. Lucky sells marijuana.
Oh, okay.
That's
No,
his
no,
job
that's
prior
not
to 2
true.
months before. He didn't have this job now.
That's a lie. She
Now,
made that up.
shh. Now, when is your baby due?
I already had him.
You already
June
had your baby.
29th, yes.
And who's taking care of your baby now?
My mother.
Baby healthy?
Mm-hmm.
Weren't stupid enough to smoke marijuana while you were pregnant,
Actually, I
were
was.
you? Yeah.
That's how she got 2 years.
That's,
Was drinking and a whole bunch of other stuff she
I
did
didn't
while she
drink
was
with my
pregnant.
baby. My baby was perfectly
Yes, you
healthy,
did.
born 4 weeks early, didn't need anything. 6 pounds, 8 ounces.
great. Okay. So now, Miss Peters,
Yes.
now you have your boyfriend living with you. How big is this apartment, by the way?
It's a 2-bedroom apartment.
Well, Your Honor, at first, when I first moved in with Amanda, it was in March of 2005. Lucky moved in June of 2005. We were all living in a 1-bedroom apartment. Then his cousin moved in, Lewis, with his baby mama, Shataya. We all 5 lived there. I still paid half the rent.
Just
They
a
didn't pay
second.
nothing.
No.
Just a second. How long?
And
Quiet.
and his cousin got a job at our job.
Just a second. How long did his cousin and his
They lived
baby
there.
mama live there?
They lived there
What?
from October till December when we got our 2-bedroom and they got their 1-bedroom apartment.
What's your cousin's name?
My cousin's name is Lewis, and he was not living there.
Yes, he was, Your Honor.
Listen,
Okay,
I am
he'll
very,
move
very
from
unhappy
Denver.
about
Yeah.
this whole situation. All I can tell you, Miss Peters, is now you can have your boyfriend full-time. Your boyfriend of 6 years full-time. He's going to live with you and he's going to pay the rent. You get nothing from her. Next.
What?
Now, let's talk about this stolen money. You say that she stole money from you.
Yes.
You
No,
know
from
this.
her and her
Shh,
boy-
I don't want to hear you.
Okay.
I'm not happy with you either. Anyone who smokes dope while they're pregnant is an idiot.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
When the wallet came up missing, she had to have been there. Otherwise, how could she
Yeah.
get it? Not from Ohio to Alabama.
No,
she has
it
that
was
very
months
long
ago.
arms.
And later today,
Where do you think it's all his responsibility?
Because he was told to put it back, and he didn't.
Who told him to put it back?
All of them.
They did not tell him to put it back. What are you, nuts?
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Amanda Peters claims ex-roommate Holly Ward owes for breaking an apartment lease, stealing money from her wallet, and for damaging her car.
Now, tell me about this alleged money.
All right, I gave my boyfriend $300 to put up for me. I was going to put my car in the shop and have some work done to it. Well, I picked him up one night. He was going to come spend the night with me. The wallet came up missing that night while he was at the house. Yeah, I went to drop him off the next morning, and the wallet wasn't there.
And
he said it was Holly all along. I mean, I really didn't think it was at first, but I found the wallet in her room when I was cleaning it out after she left.
Where's the wallet?
It's right here.
Let me see it.
Can I?
Shh.
Okay.
When for the first time did you tell Holly about the missing wallet?
I didn't tell her.
You didn't tell her?
No, she was in Alabama when I found it.
You didn't call her?
No.
No, I'm not saying when you found it. Listen to me. Miss Peters, when the wallet came up missing, she had to have been there. Otherwise, how could she get it? Not from Ohio to Alabama.
No,
she has
it
that
was
very
months
long
ago.
arms. Now, so when did you first discuss with her the fact that this wallet was missing?
Oh, it was around the time when we moved into our two-bedroom apartment. So
And
around
how long did you live in the two-bedroom apartment?
I'm still there now. So from December until now.
How long did she live there?
Until April 15th.
So the wallet came up missing in December?
Yes.
And you found it when?
When I came back May 9th or 8th, I mean.
Yeah, do me a favor. Return that to her. Tell me about the damaged car.
She damaged my car, parallel parking it.
When?
In November, the first week of November.
November of '06?
Yes, ma'am.
Show me the bill where you had it fixed.
I haven't gotten it fixed yet. I haven't had the money. But I have an estimate from where we both took it in. She came with me when I got the estimate.
Oh, well, tell me how it happened.
Oh, she parallel. He was in the car. I wasn't in the car. She asked to borrow my car one day, and she brought it back with these scratches on the front bumper.
Let
he
me
was
see
in
the
car.
pictures of the front bumper. How did you scratch the bumper?
I didn't scratch the front of her car.
Who did?
Lucky. He was on his way to school in November, and at a red light, he hit the back of another car.
I have a picture of the truck that she hit also with the dent in the bumper
Just a
where she
second.
hit
She says it was Lucky.
That's
It
a lie,
wasn't.
Your Honor.
She went with me when I got the statement.
I did not go with her. I was at work when she got that statement done with
She,
Lucky.
she had borrowed Amanda's car, and I needed to go home that following morning.
He was
And
living
she
with us.
had-
Why would I take him home?
don't want you to interrupt. If you interrupt again, it's not going to be good for you. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
So on the way taking me home to my mother's house, she was trying to parallel park in front of another car, and she hit the back.
On the way,
back
she was
end of-
trying to parallel park?
No, when we got to my mother's house.
Why was she going to parallel park if she was just dropping you off?
Because she was parking to drop me off.
Why was she parking to drop you off? Why didn't she just come?
She was the driver.
Yeah, I don't believe it. Goodbye. You all deserve each other. That's it. Case is dismissed. Take him outside, Bert.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She knows she owes me money. She's a liar.
She wanted money because obviously her boyfriend, who has been living with us, hasn't been paying bills, and he's probably not doing it now.
She stole some money from me. I didn't find out about it until I came home. She wrecked my car, never paid for it.
All three of us smoked marijuana. He had drugs in our apartment all the time. He was selling them. I helped him sell them.
She put it in the glove compartment, and they pulled us over. And when they found the marijuana in the glove compartment, they charged everybody with it.
Don't smoke while you're pregnant.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Cotton versus Stritt matter, step forward, please.
Julie and David Cotton are suing family friend, 18-year-old Dylan Strittmatter, for crashing a golf cart during their wedding reception. Dylan claims he is not guilty.
Who was getting married?
Julie and I.
According to your complaint, Miss Cotton, your family lives on the river.
Correct.
Is that where the wedding was?
Yes.
The defendant is the son of an old family friend, and because there was so much land and the venue was spread out, you rented 2 golf carts to sort of help people get from one place to another, especially people who might have been a little older. Those golf carts were just rented for the event. Okay. It is your claim that the defendant, without permission, drove one of those golf carts and damaged it. You're being charged by the rental company for the damage to the golf cart, and you want him to pay for it.
Correct.
Who saw Mr. Strittmatter riding the golf cart?
Tristan Hall.
How old are you, Mr. Hall?
18.
What do you know about Mr. Strittmatter and the golf cart?
Well, I was the guy in charge of taking people to and from the parking to the wedding, and we were at the reception.
At the golf cart, with a golf cart.
Right. And after the wedding, we went to the reception, and we had the 2 golf carts parked over there. And we were all sitting around eating, and I saw them take off in the golf cart, and we just went out. I went out there after them to see what.
Saw who taking off?
Dylan and Greg.
That's Dylan would be you?
Yes.
And who's Greg?
I'm Greg.
Perfect, I love it. No, I didn't ask you to go over there yet.
Well,
I didn't ask you to go over there yet.
Okay. That is a lot.
I didn't go over.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Oh, Miss Cotton, you're going to talk to me. You, me. Maybe you're used to getting the last word. I'm trying to tell you, it's your responsibility to ensure no underage drinking at your venue.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Julie and David Cotton claim family friend Dylan Strittmatter owes for crashing a golf cart during their wedding reception.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I went out there, and we were just riding. We were riding around for a little while.
Who was riding around?
Me, Dylan, and Greg.
How did you get on the golf cart?
Because I went out there. When I saw him riding around, I walked out there.
So you walked outside, and the 3 of you got on the golf cart.
Right. Well, they were on it first. I went out there after they were already on it. I went out there.
Who drove?
They were driving. We all took turns driving.
Who drove first?
Tristan drove first, but there's also a 4th person in the party. Their son Chase was also in the golf cart, and he also drove it with us.
Is that right?
Chase was in the golf cart, yes.
So who drove first?
I guess I drove first.
Who drove second?
Chase drove second.
Who drove third?
I drove third.
All right, what happened next?
Okay, so we're driving around, and we were just driving around with the golf cart, and after a little while, I said, okay, we should probably bring this back. So we were on our way back down this road, and that's whenever he thought he could make it through these 2 rocks, if that's what you want to call them. They were more like boulders, and then he just ran into one of them.
Now, did you know you weren't supposed to be driving around in that golf cart at that time?
In the back of my mind, I did.
And did you know you weren't supposed to be Hey, did you look at me? Did you know you weren't supposed to be driving around in the golf cart at that time?
Yes, I knew that.
Did you know you weren't supposed to be driving around at that time? And I assume your son knew that he wasn't supposed to be driving around that time.
That's correct.
So what are you suing him for?
Because he had been drinking at the wedding at my mom's, and I had told him to put it down, and I saw them take off, but mind you, I'm in the middle of my reception, and I heard them, and so did my friends, hear them screaming, come on, let's go get on the golf cart. It was just those 2, and they were drunk at our wedding. They did take it. The owner of the
Your son was there. How old is he?
13.
What'd you do to him?
Actually, both of my sons had told them, and so had Tristan, to stop, and he was driving.
They were driving around in the golf cart.
Well, a little more than driving. He was driving erratically.
Just a second. Where do you think it's all his responsibility?
Because he was told to put it back, and he didn't.
Who told him to put it back?
All of them.
They did not. They were driving around with it. They did not tell him to put it back. What are you, nuts? Listen, Miss Cotton.
Yes.
If you're telling me that you saw them get in the golf cart and drive around with it, and you didn't leave your reception to go and stop them from driving around with it.
My oldest son actually did.
He's not here. You, not your son. Your 13-year-old was in the golf cart.
Right, but my oldest son also took the keys from them.
Did you see that?
No, but they all told me, and the owner of the golf cart.
They can't tell you anything, Miss Cotton. You have a responsibility. A golf cart is an attractive nuisance. That's what it is for young people. That's why your 13-year-old got in the golf cart.
I mean, he admitted to wrecking it and told us he was sorry.
They were all involved in it. If anything, he's responsible for a quarter of it, not for the whole thing. Your son is responsible. Therefore, you're responsible for a quarter.
My son is 13.
He's responsible for a quarter. He's responsible for a quarter. He's not responsible for the whole damage to the golf cart. They shouldn't have been in the golf cart to begin with. And if you saw them and you're the grown-up, you should have seen to it that they weren't in the golf cart.
Can I say something?
Listen, if you knew he was drinking, what's the drinking age where you are anyway?
21.
If he got hurt and he had been drinking at your wedding, he would have owned that house on the river.
I can't control him. He's not my child.
Oh, yes, you can. You can put him out of your house.
He wasn't at our house. It was an open field. We weren't there. He went off in a different area.
Miss Cotton, it's your responsibility when you have an event to ensure that there is no underage drinking. And based upon what you tell me, you saw him drinking and drunk at your wedding. You then saw him get into a golf cart and drive away. And it was your reception, and you couldn't do anything about it because you didn't want to leave the reception. That's what you told me.
I didn't see him get in. I heard them say they were going to do it and take off, and people were
Ms. Cotton, I'm
after
getting
them.
less and less sympathy for you. I mean, that doesn't give him any right to do that. And he's going to pay for 1/4 of the damage. But I have less and less sympathy for you. You planned a wedding, and you had a bunch of kids, including these two people, not only the defendant, who were drinking at your wedding. And that's your responsibility. You are responsible for the venue. That's what the law says. And if they had gotten into a car instead of a golf cart, and instead of going between a boulder and scratching your golf cart, which is what he did, he got into his car and he killed somebody, you know who they'd come after? You. That's what the law says.
I didn't serve him the alcohol, and he stole
You
it.
did serve him alcohol.
I did.
Duh.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com or call 1-888-800-JUDY.
Now,
Oh, actually, we didn't serve him the alcohol.
you did serve him alcohol.
Well, I mean, it's in a bar area. Anybody can walk to the bar and get it.
He didn't get it from the bar. He did go and take
Did you get it from the bar?
Actually, there was a fountain outside the wedding reception that had
Right.
wine, and there was a cup there and cups, and you could just go in and pour yourself some.
And did you not look at me and I told
Just
you
a
to
second.
put it down?
Just a second. Is
yes,
that what
you
you're
did,
telling me?
Dylan.
Then what you do is when you have children and you have open alcohol, you ensure that the children who are there don't drink the alcohol.
Well, the only...
Miss Cotton, you're going to talk to me. You, me. Maybe you're used to getting the last word. I'm trying to tell you that based upon 16 years of education and 30 years in the judicial system, it's your responsibility to ensure no underage drinking at your venue. Do you understand?
Yeah.
How much is it going to cost to fix this golf cart?
$1,119.35.
Your responsibility is $279, young man. Do you understand?
Yes.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $279, only because you have to accept a certain amount of responsibility. Think that's reasonable? Sure. Good. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. 8-year-old student Jamaica King is suing her ex-boyfriend, 17-year-old Canthony Brown, and his mother, cashier Tracy Parrish. Jamaica says Canthony stole her car and wrecked it.
Now, this is case number 155 on the calendar in the matter of King versus Parrish Brown. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
What's your first name?
Canthony.
This is your mother?
Yes, ma'am.
Why don't you have a seat? I'll get to you in a minute. Miss King, this used to be your boyfriend.
Yes, ma'am.
You're suing his mother because he's underage.
Yes, ma'am.
You claim that he stole your car and had an accident with it.
Yes.
And you want his mother to pay the $3,000 some odd dollars that it's going to cost to fix your car.
Yes, ma'am.
He's just really here because he was the one who was driving the car, but he is not financially responsible or responsible at all because he's 17.
Yes.
Are you still 17, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you want to say something to me? Was that a question?
No, sir. No, ma'am.
I know you're going to get it right. How old are you, Miss King?
I am 20 years old.
Now, when did you start going out with Mr. Brown?
December 17th, 2002.
And you were 20 at the time?
Yes, ma'am.
And how old was he?
He was 17.
And you have a car?
Yes, ma'am.
Is the car in your name?
Yes.
Who bought it?
Me, myself.
Now, did you date Mr. Brown exclusively from December of 2002?
Yes, I did.
Until when?
February 24th, 2003.
So about 2 months.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
And you knew, of course, that he didn't have a driver's license.
Well, the defendant told me that he had a permit.
You knew that he didn't have a driver's license?
Yes, ma'am.
When did you first let him drive your car?
It was actually 2 months into the relationship.
Within 2 months, you were no longer seeing him?
Well, try a month and a half.
When did you first start using her car?
Maybe 2.5, 3 weeks into the relationship.
Tell me about the first time she let you drive her car.
I used to ask her to drive it. You know, we'd drive to the park or something. We'd drive around. She'd let me drive, you know, just for practice.
Okay, so she would sit next to you and you would drive?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did there ever come a time when she let you have the car by yourself?
Yes.
When for the first time did she let you have the car by yourself?
I can't remember the exact date.
Do you remember where you were going?
Yes, I was going to the store.
Well, where was she?
She was in the house.
Okay, did she ask you to go to the store, or did you want to go to the store? Why did you go to the store?
I wanted to go to the store.
What store?
The store that was around the corner from her residence.
What did they sell at that store, Mr. Brown?
Regular stuff, chips, sodas.
A convenience store?
Yes.
I mean, there were furniture stores, there were pet stores, there were vacuum cleaner stores, there were clothing stores. Do you understand?
Yes.
And when was the next time that you used the car by yourself?
I would have to say when I went to my friend's house to get some clothes that I left over there.
In total, how many times did Miss King let you borrow the car?
I can't calculate the numbers, but I could say it was more than 3 times.
Okay. Now tell me about this accident.
My mom here, you know, she asked me to go to McDonald's to get my sister something to eat.
Your mother did?
Yes.
What did she say to you?
She said, "Is Mika still here?" And I said, "Yes." She was like, y'all go to McDonald's to get us something to eat.
Who's Mika?
Her, Jamika.
Is Mika still here?
Yes.
Would you all go to McDonald's to get what?
2 Happy Meals.
For whom?
My 2 little sisters.
Where was your mother?
She was at home at the time.
And where were you?
I was at McDonald's.
No.
Oh,
she was asking you to go to McDonald's.
Where was I when she asked me?
Yeah.
Oh, I was in the same residence.
So you were together?
Yes.
Okay. So your mom asked you to go.
Yes.
And you had to take the car to do that.
Yes.
So tell me how you got the keys to the car.
Jamika, she was like halfway asleep or whatever, and I told her I'm about to go get something for my little sisters. She flagged me on like, all right.
Okay. Did your mom give you money to go?
Yes.
And you have to drive in order to get to McDonald's.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
So your mother knew that you were going to drive the car.
Yes.
See why you're in trouble? Now you can stand up here. Your defense to this case was Miss King let him use the car all the time. It was her fault that he was driving the car. As a matter of fact, I'm going to read what you said here because this is your answer. The truth is that Jamika let Kenny drive her car all of the time. In fact, she is the one who taught him to drive. My boyfriend and I told her on numerous occasions not to let Kenny drive, okay? Yet she let him drive the car so much it was as if they were married. If anything, she put my son's life in danger by letting him behind the wheel of her car. That's what you wrote. You asked him to go to McDonald's.
I did not ask him to take
the
car.
Yes, just a second.
My McDonald's is 3 blocks away from
Listen
our
to
house.
me.
It's walking distance.
Sit down.
Okay.
Your son doesn't lie. I know why he doesn't lie, because he'd probably get confused if he lied. Your son said, you said to him, is Jamika still here? Which means, is the car still here? Go and get your 2 little sisters something to eat. Don't say a word.
I wanted to tell the truth, you know.
Really?
That's not the way it went, exactly.
Then you stand up here and you tell me the truth. You are the boyfriend.
Yes, and I was there
your
at the
name
time.
is the what?
Elijah Holmes.
Okay, Mr. Holmes, you tell me.
So this is exactly how it happened. When she asked her to go, she was asking to say, saying, can you ask Mika to take you and you and her go to McDonald's? Not knowing that Mika was asleep. When she asked him, she thinking Mika was woke. And Mika was going to be the one that took him.
Thank you very
much.
much.
Took it into his own
I'm glad that you imparted to me that mental telepathy. Have a seat.
Okay.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jessica King says ex-boyfriend 17-year-old Canthony Brown stole her car and wrecked it. Canthony says he drove it with her permission.
You are not totally without blame with regard to this, Miss King, because I believe that you let him drive the car all the time, both with you in the car and not in the car. Did you report that he had stolen the car from you?
Yes, because I was completely asleep.
Let me tell you something, but that was not the truth. He did not steal your car. He did not steal your car on this occasion. He did not steal your car on the other occasions when you let him drive himself without you being in the car. That had happened before. So what you did was, over the course of a period of time, let him think that he had your permission to drive the car. That doesn't excuse his mother. Because
May I say something?
now you can come up.
The McDonald's is 2.5 blocks from my home.
Just a second. You mean it got shorter from the time that you sat down there till you got up here? Just a second. It was 3 blocks 1 second ago.
It's approximately 3 blocks. It is walking distance. It's 2
So
lights.
why didn't you walk?
I asked my child to go. I said, Kenny, is Mika here? He said, yeah. I said, y'all go get the kids some McDonald's. Period with a dot. I didn't know he had took the car. I didn't know she didn't go with him. I just said, get them something to eat.
I think that you're both responsible. I think that she's half responsible, and I think that you're half responsible, because I don't believe you. I think that you would have been just as happy if your son took a quick ride over and got
I have
their
my
McDonald's.
own car.
Yeah, but you wouldn't let him drive yours.
I don't let him drive.
Right.
And I told her, don't let him drive.
If you wanted her to go over to get a McDonald's, why didn't you go over to her and ask her? She was at your house.
I communicated to
No,
my
why didn't you
son.
go over to her? She was the one with the car.
I communicated to my son.
He didn't have the car, according to you.
I communicated to him to go and ask her to go get them guys
Didn't
something
you
to eat.
understand my question, Miss Brown?
Why
I
didn't
said
I
to you,
go and ask
why
her?
didn't you ask her? She had the car.
Okay, well, I made a mistake.
Right.
without
That
asking
mistake's going to
her.
cost you half of what, put your hand down, half, only half of what it cost to have your car fixed. You're going to tell me how you had the accident? Kenny,
Yes.
how did you have the accident?
I pulled out of the driveway, out of the drive-through, and I guess the big rig, it was rushing because it seen me right there and I was about to turn, but it kept on going, like on the side of me, then it stopped, and then it turned my way, and then the side went into the side of the car.
Of a big rig?
Yes.
Can I see the damage to the car and the estimates, please? You're lucky you weren't hurt. A lot of damage. Are these 3 estimates?
Yes.
Well, you've got one for $4,000, got one for $2,200, and you got one for $2,500.
Yes,
Is that
ma'am.
right? Have you had the car fixed yet?
No, ma'am.
$2,247.21. You're responsible for half. Very, very simple. You put him in a position where he believed that he had your permission to drive the car whenever he pleased. He drove with you and he drove without you previous to this date. His mother also knew that he was driving your car, and if his mother was as concerned as she says she was, she would not have communicated to him the chore. She would have asked you if you would do her a favor since you were at the house. Please, I'd like to get the kids something to eat. Would you and Kenny please go over and get them something to eat? Then she would have known that you were sleeping, if you were in fact sleeping, and she would have asked Kenny to walk over, which she did not. So that was her mistake. Her mistake is going to cost her half of what it costs to fix your car. So judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,123.50. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you,
All these are excuses. They step out.
Well, I thought it was fair because it was half and half.
I'm very pleased with the judge's decision.
I felt as if he did take my keys.
I do feel like Kenny had some responsibility in it.
If you take someone's car, you crash it, and then pay the damage.
I asked her not to let my son drive on numerous occasions. She laughed about it then, and it is not funny now, and now she has to pay half the cost.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Surratt versus Neely. Step forward.
Store manager Tanya Surratt is suing truck driver Curtis Neely and his wife Frankie for the cost to fix her car after she ran into their cow. The Neelys are countersuing for the cost of the cow.
Ms. Surratt, it is your claim that the defendant's cow came in contact with your car.
Yes, Your Honor.
And as a result of that, your car was severely damaged.
Yes, ma'am.
The defendants have a counterclaim, and they say that you were probably speeding when your car hit their cow, which was killed, and that's their counterclaim. So I have to make a judgment as to who did what to whom. You have pictures of your car?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
I'd like to see the pictures of your car. That's going to help me a lot. When did this happen, Ms. Surratt?
On July 27th, 2002, excuse me.
Where?
About a mile from my house, out in Effingham.
And where was the cow?
I was coming up the right side of the road, and they were on the left shoulder of the road.
Who's they?
Well, it was the mom and the calf.
So it was the calf that you hit?
Yes, ma'am, it was the calf that I hit. The calf darted out into the road while I was coming up, and in return, I hit it, killed it.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
A cow just don't dart out in front of you.
She didn't hit this calf on purpose just because it happened to be in the way. That would sound ridiculous. She doesn't look like a nut.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Tanya Surratt says her car was damaged after she ran into a cow owned by Curtis and Frankie Neely. Curtis says Tanya was driving too fast.
Okay. What was the cow and the calf doing out of a fenced-in area?
They had got out. I had a new fence put up with electric wire, a new cow wire, and he had got out. But on the road that she was talking about, this is 1 mile of straight road with 15 foot on each side of the lanes. It's very clear. She had to be speeding in order to not see this cow and hit him because it's very clear. Cows just don't dart out in front of you.
Listen, she didn't hit this calf on purpose because that doesn't happen.
Now, she must be going pretty fast.
Don't know. I know that she looks like a reasonable person. Why would she put herself or her car in a position of being damaged by hitting your cow?
I don't feel like I'm in wrong with the cow because I did everything I could, to keep him in. I put up a new fence and did everything I could, so I don't feel like I'm responsible in no way. And I'm out of the cow, too,
Is there a posted speed limit on that road?
Yes, ma'am. I believe the posted speed limit is 45.
Is that right?
It's 50.
I think it's 50.
50 or 45.
50 miles an hour?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, that looks like this could have happened at 50 miles an hour. That's a pretty good clip.
Well, Your Honor, I have pictures of the old fence and the new fence that I've replaced before I put the fence up.
The big cow is okay, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Just the calf was killed?
Yes, ma'am.
I don't mean just. Strike that just. It was the calf that was killed.
Yes, ma'am.
What state do you live in?
South Carolina.
Any laws in your jurisdiction with regard to animals being out?
Ma'am, I was told if it wasn't my fault and there was no neglect, that I was not responsible.
Well, Mr. Neely, you see, the problem is somebody is always responsible, even if it's an accident. If it was not done on purpose. There's no question that on purpose you didn't let a cow and a calf outside of your property.
No, ma'am.
There's also no question that Miss Surratt would not intentionally hurt your animal, nor would she put herself in a position of being seriously injured by hitting it just because it happened to be in the way. That would sound ridiculous. She doesn't look like a nut. So somebody was at fault. Now, if the speed limit was 15 miles an hour on this country road, I would look at this car and I would make a judgment that you were going in excess of 15 miles an hour. But if the speed limit is 45 or 50, I could say that based upon that, this damage to your car would have resulted if you hit an object.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. To begin with, the cow had to have been in the center of the road for her to hit it on the driver's side of the car. The cow was knocked about 15 foot to the side of the road. So she really had to have been speeding at a higher rate of speed than 50 miles an hour.
That's not true, madam, at all. 50 miles an hour on a country road is very fast. You're not on a highway. On a highway is different. Yeah. Were you there?
I arrived on the scene.
He's my witness, ma'am.
Come on up. How did you arrive on the scene?
When she had the accident, she gave me a call and told me to come.
You are her husband?
I'm her husband.
Okay.
And when I arrived on the scene, Your Honor, it was still dark. It was 5:30 in the morning when this occurred. The calf that she hit was a black calf. There are no street lights in that area on the street where she hit the calf.
That makes perfect sense, Mr. Surratt. Cheapest estimate you have is $3,055. Is that right?
Your Honor, this car already had damage on it. The right side of this car is primed all up. They ain't brought the pictures of the right side.
The right side ain't got damaged by the cow, though.
I don't know how much damage this cow done.
Excuse me,
I don't know if all this damage is. I don't think this cow only weighed 200 pounds, done this much damage to this car.
I don't know if you know that much about cows or not, but a cow is a very slow-moving animal. They do not normally dart out in front of anything.
Even if it didn't dart out, let's say it didn't dart out. Let's say she's going the speed limit and your cow is in the middle of the road and it's 5:30 in the morning and she hits your cow that's in the middle of the road that did not dart out. You would still be responsible. She's not doing anything that's wrong by traveling down the road going the speed limit.
She's supposed to be watching where she's going.
I'm supposed to be trying to go to work.
A cow doesn't belong in the middle of the road, sir. I am not going to attribute to her lunacy by hitting an object that could kill her, no less, we didn't even talking about her car. She would not do that. You have an obligation to keep your cows within a certain perimeter. Even if you try and don't succeed, that's an accident. That doesn't mean you did it on purpose. That doesn't mean you did it on purpose. That's why they don't call it on-purpose insurance. They call it accident insurance. That means that two relatively innocent people get into an accident that no one intends. This was an accident that no one intends. But for the fact that your cow was out in the middle of the road, this accident wouldn't have happened. It's not but for the fact that she was speeding. There's no indication she was speeding. So she wasn't doing anything wrong. But for the fact that your cow was not where it was supposed to be, this accident wouldn't have happened. So you're responsible for the damage to her car. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,055. Counterclaim is dismissed. Thank you. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Stephen Mosher is suing his brother, 26-year-old William Mosher, for smashing him in the head with a wooden bowl. Stephen says the incident started as an argument over the TV.
Order. All rise. Your Honor, case number 231 on the calendar, the matter of Mosher versus Mosher.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat, please.
Mr. Mosher, you claim that your brother assaulted you.
Yes, ma'am.
He assaulted you at his home, where you were a guest.
Yes, ma'am.
Who do you live with?
My parents, ma'am.
How old are you?
26.
What's your first name?
William.
Who do you live with?
My wife.
And your first name is?
Stephen.
So it is your claim that William assaulted you. William says that there was a fight that you started. You just got the worst of the fight.
Yes, ma'am.
When did this argument take place, Stephen?
This occurred on September 25th, about 8:45 p.m. My wife and I, Amanda, we had gone over to my parents' house to visit, have dinner. Everything was fine. There was no arguments. We had dinner. Everyone adjourned outside. We began watching a television show, my wife and I, at 8 o'clock.
Where?
In the kitchen, on a small 15-inch, 17-inch television. That was in the
Okay.
kitchen. About 45 minutes into the program, the defendant walked through the kitchen.
Your brother?
Yes, walked through the kitchen into the living room and turned on the large television with surround sound. He turned it on very loud. I don't know what his problem was, but he turned it on very loud. I walked into the living room, and I asked him very politely. I said, "Hey, man, could you please just turn down the television a little bit?" And at that time, he yelled at me, profanities. I turned around. I didn't say anything to him. I came back into the kitchen. I sat down. I tried to hear my program that I'd been watching for 45 minutes already, and I could not hear it. I sat directly in front of the television set, turned it up. I still couldn't hear it. I walked all the way back into the living room, and I asked him again. I said, "Man, could you please just turn it down a little bit?" Politely.
That I don't believe.
3 times. Three times, Your Honor.
Stephen, first time maybe, second time I don't believe.
Well, Your Honor, he had an anger problem, and I tried not to upset
Stephen,
him.
first time I believe you went inside and said, "Could you turn it down?" Second time I don't believe you went inside and very politely asked him to turn it down. So let's revise that.
I tell you the truth, Your Honor.
Okay, go ahead.
I went in there, I asked him a second time. He said the
So
same
after
thing
he
again.
cursed you the first time, listen to me,
Yes.
Stephen, after he cursed you the first time, you went inside and said politely to him again, "Hey, man, could you please turn it down?" I just want you to tell me, is that what you're selling to me?
No, ma'am, that's
Is
what
that
happened.
what you're selling to me?
That's what happened.
Go ahead. Keep going.
I went back into the living room for the second time. I asked him again politely. He shouted profanities at me again. I walked back into the kitchen. I still couldn't hear it. By this time, I'm getting a little frustrated. I walked outside of the home. I looked for my parents. I didn't see them. I came back inside. I'm still at the television. I still can't hear it. I walked back in there again. On the third time, I actually tried to turn down the television myself. I look off the corner of my eye. I see the defendant running at me. And I kind of put my hands up. I'm like, "What are you doing? What's going on?" At that time, he struck me in the side of the face. I wrapped my arms around him and was struggling to hold him. He was trying to hit me. We fell down to the floor. He was still trying to strike me. At that time, I had my head down, trying to protect myself, holding him down. He did come free. We stood back up. I was still trying to hold on to him. I was holding on to his shirt. His shirt started to come off. I stepped back. He pulled his shirt off the rest of the way, and he came at me again. I grabbed him again, put my arms around him again. I did not one time hit him. I backed him up all the way to the fireplace area, which is probably about 8 feet away. I let go of him. I stepped back to where we originally were. He grabbed a large wooden bowl, ran at me like this. When he got closer to me, I tried to duck because I thought he was going to throw it at me. He hit me in the back of the head. I fell to the floor. I blacked out for a split second. and she came into the room, and she was yelling at him to stop. Finally, I got up. I was dizzy. I reached back to the back of my head. My head was busted open. I was bleeding. I had blood all over my hands.
And you had stitches?
I went to the hospital. They put stitches in.
Okay. All right, Mr. Mosier, let me hear your version of the events.
When I was watching TV, actually, I didn't have it up that loud. It is loud because it's a surround sound system. You can't...
What were you watching, William?
I don't even know. It doesn't matter. I mean, it was just TV.
It matters to me. What kind of answer is that? It doesn't matter.
It was just
I asked you
regular
what you were
TV
watching.
programming. I mean, it wasn't nothing special. I was just watching TV. Every time he comes over...
Just a second. Don't tell me every time. On the 25th of September, you saw that your brother and his wife were watching television in the kitchen.
Yes, ma'am.
You went into the living room to watch something that was sort of irrelevant to you because you would have remembered it, considering the fact that you were arrested that night or at some point
There was
the
a
police...
lot of other things going on. I really don't remember with everything going on.
I would have remembered what it was that was so important. So your brother came in, and the first time he asked you to turn it down.
He never said please. He came in and he said, "Turn this down, I'm watching TV," is what he said. So of course he's not going to get a good response out of me. I just turned it up. He turned up his TV.
Shh, just a sec. So he came in and he said, "Turn it down, I'm watching TV." But you already knew he was watching TV, right?
Yes, ma'am. Usually there isn't this problem. If he would have came at me and asked me nicely, I would have turned it down right away. But every time he comes over, it's like he's trying to be the boss of me, and I just gotten sick of it. I mean, it's every time. And
so
after
he came in the first time, said turn it down, so instead you turned it up.
He's
just a second. And then what happened the second time?
The second time he came in and he started yelling at me. I yelled some profanities back at him.
That sounds right.
He did the same, Your Honor.
I believe that.
And then it went to a third time. The third time he came in, he comes in and he switches all the dials, turns everything he can possibly turn off, and messes it all up. And I come running up to him, and there was kind of a little bit of an altercation there, and then I hit him, and he kind of hit and spun me to the ground, pulled my shirt.
Why did you hit him?
I was mad.
Well, you can't hit somebody just because you're mad. You're
I know.
26 years old.
I know.
Well, you can't do that. Is that your mother?
Yes, ma'am.
You know how you two boys are aggravating your mother? How many of you are there?
It's just me, us two, and my little sister.
That would be you.
Yes, ma'am.
You know how you're aggravating your mother?
He also said that if I were to call and apologize, that he would not go any further with anything. Well, I called a couple times, couldn't get a
What'd you
hold
hit
of
him with a bowl for?
Because after he had pulled my shirt over my head and I was getting choked and beat on the back, I had bruises all over my back. I had marks on my neck where my shirt had been pulled around my neck. And as I got up, I'm like at a loss for oxygen. I'm mad. I've been beat on.
You hit him first.
I know. And I reached over and grabbed the first thing I could and swung at him. And my arm wrapped around him like this and caught him. I apologized. I wanted him to come over for dinner. We could talk it over.
Did you, shh, come on. Now, did you say, I want to pay your hospital bill, I want to pay your medical bills?
Well, I would have. I mean, if he'd actually talked to me, I haven't even been able to talk to him. I've called, I've left messages to come eat dinner and do things, try to talk it over as a family.
Well, I think you should probably do that, if for nobody else's sake, but for your mother's sake. Do you see your mother?
Very rarely. Our relationship has very much been her. It's been very stressful on the
By
entire
this.
family. It hasn't just been this one offense. There's been several recorded, unrecorded criminal offenses made by the defendant. It's
Against who?
against me and other people.
What other offenses against you?
Well, I haven't lived with my parents for probably 8 to 10 years. At that time, that brief time that I did live there, for some reason the defendant had a taser. I was actually tasered one time.
Oh, you boys got to stop fighting.
It was
I
either
don't
that or
wanna
go to a
fight.
big
How old
fight.
are you?
I'm 30 years old, ma'am.
You got to stop fighting. There comes a time you got to stop beating
Right.
up on each other.
I'm not interested in fighting. I've never been.
Good.
I've never
What are your
been that
medical
type of
bills,
person.
sir? Just give me the bills that you have to pay out of pocket.
I have a medical bill for $377.27, $100, and $25. I have suffered a lot professionally and personally.
Why,
from
how
the attack.
professionally?
Well, my head was busted open. I had 2 staples on the back of my head.
I believe you.
I had a huge mark on my face for about a month. I had really bad headaches in the back of my head. I've never had headaches before in my life.
What kind of work do you do, William?
I work for a pool company,
Doing what?
cleaning pools.
Okay. Well, I understand that he feels very, very angry, and the truth of the matter is that you were wrong. You were wrong on all counts. A, you were wrong because your brother and his wife were guests in your home. So If you know that they're watching television in the kitchen, which you in fact knew, and you have a much larger setup in the living room, if you wanted to be a nice person to the guests in your home, you say, listen, there's nothing particularly important that I'm watching. Why don't you guys go inside in the living room and watch the program in surround sound? You chose not to do that. You chose to act like a baby. You went into the room, you turned on the television, the surround sound. He came inside, and I absolutely do not believe his story that he came in and asked you very politely to turn it down. That's not what a 30-year-old brother does. He comes in and says, turn it down, I'm watching TV, especially when he's got his wife in the kitchen egging him on a little bit. Would that be a fair statement, Miss Mosier? You don't know.
I was loading the RV.
You don't know. But then, when he comes inside and he says to you, please turn it down, you acted like a bigger baby and you turned it up.
Well, if he would have asked respectfully...
Listen, if I were 5'7", I probably would have been on the cover of Vogue. But I'm not. So if he would have said to you, would you please turn it down? Yes, you would have turned it down. If you said, would you please turn it down, you wouldn't have hit him on the head with a bowl. You wouldn't have punched him in the face. Stop being a baby. Your mother may baby you. I'm not going to baby you. You did the wrong thing. And for that, you have to pay. Now, your brother could be, you know, a big brother and say, listen, it was a horrible thing, but I don't want it to interfere with my relationship with my mother anymore or with my sister anymore. I want it just to get over it, get over it. He chooses not to do that. He chooses to let it fester, which is not a smart thing to do because it doesn't make anybody in your family feel better. And I'm not so concerned about him. I'm more concerned about your mother. In any event, I'm awarding you $1,000 for all this pain and suffering and other stuff that you have, and $502 were your medical bills. And that's it, Mr. Mosier, because I also think that you didn't handle it well. Because you could have taken your wife and left, instead of letting it escalate by going inside and touching property that wasn't yours, which you did.
I did ask politely.
I don't care whether you were asked politely or not. If you ask politely and somebody says no, and if you don't like the game, go home to your own house and watch the program. You don't go into his room where he's watching television and it's his home and touch his property. So there were other ways that you could have dealt with it.
Sure.
Which is why, sir, you're not getting the $5,000 that you're asking for. You are being compensated marginally. Your medical bills and $1,000 for your pain and suffering. Period. End of discussion. Do we understand each other?
Yes,
Goodbye.
Parties are excused. They step out.
He just always tries to boss me around and everything, so I'm going to take it.
It seems like problems with him keep getting more severe and more severe. They're not getting dealt with.
You can only take so much crap.
I just don't want to be around him. I don't trust him. I don't know what he's going to do. He's a time bomb. He could go off at any second.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Gabori versus Davenport. Step forward, please.
25-year-old Jesse Gabori is suing 23-year-old musician Cameron Davenport for the return of his fee to perform at her party. Jesse claims Cameron's music offended her guests.
Mr. Bori, you hired Mr. Davenport as a DJ to play at a party that you were having. What kind of party was it?
I had a cousin who was moving to Portland, Oregon from Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. We have a pretty large family in Coeur d'Alene, all very close-knit.
So it was a family party?
Yes, that's correct.
Had you ever heard of Mr. Davenport play before?
No, ma'am.
How did you find him?
I was at a coffee shop. I found a flyer that said, you know, Cameron Bamron, original music and DJ services. It showed a picture of a guy with a ukulele on the front.
Okay, so that's how you found him?
That's correct.
Good. And you hired him to play at a party. You paid him in advance, $500?
Yes, ma'am.
And he came to the party. He played for a couple of minutes. He was told to leave.
That's correct.
Because you didn't like his music, and you want your money back.
That's correct.
Mr. Davenport says he came, he played his music. He was totally prepared to comply with the terms of your contract. You told him to leave. He's not giving you any money back. What date did you see his flyer, and on what date did you call him?
July 10th is the date that I was preparing all of the arrangements for the party.
And what day was the party?
The 13th of July.
So you only had 3 days to get somebody?
That's correct.
So you called Mr. Davenport from the flyer. And what did you say to him, and what did he say to you?
I asked if he would be available to do a 5-hour set on the 13th. The party started around 7 p.m. He said that he was available. I asked what type of original music he played. He said experimental. In my experience, experimental doesn't generally mean offensive or explicit.
Don't tell me what your experience is, madam.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm asking you what you said to him and what he said to you.
He asked me if any children would be present, and I said no, older people, adults.
Okay.
And that was pretty much the end of the conversation. I told him where to show up and when. I was in a huge hurry, so I just kind of pushed forward with it.
So he came and?
On the day of the party, he arrived, had his sound equipment set up, Everything seemed to be going well. That was the first time I had actually spoken with him in person. He seemed like a, nice guy. Got up on stage, and it was the first song that he sang that really set everyone off. I have a pretty conservative family. It was a large party. I had a lot of grandmas, grandpas, aunts, uncles,
So it was more experimental than you were used to?
The first lyric of the first song was what really set it off.
Okay. It was not what you expected?
That's correct.
Okay, so what did you do?
I immediately, after about halfway through the first song, I was bombarded with my family members coming up angrily, my friends, family, asking me if it was a joke.
Okay, fine. So?
I retreated to the back of the theater. I informed one of my cousins that he needed to ask Cameron to leave.
Oh, well, and that's what they did. They asked him to leave.
That's
right.
Correct.
So why do you think you're entitled to any money back?
Because he misrepresented himself on the telephone to me.
No, he didn't at all. No, he did not at all.
Never at any time did he mention that his lyrics were explicit or offensive in any manner.
Did you ask? You said, what kind of music do you play? According to you, I listened very carefully, you say original music, experimental. According to you, you said, in my opinion, experimental meant, I said, I'm not interested in your opinion. What you do when you hire somebody is you enter into a contract. And especially if the end of one song and you tell somebody to go tell him to leave, instead of saying to him, listen, this is not the kind of music that we want played here. Could you please play something else? And give him the option, just a second, give him the option of saying to you, this is the only kind of music I have. This is the only kind of music I do. But according to you, I listened very carefully. You said you told one of your cousins to go out and tell him to leave, which he did. You don't get your money back.
Well, he successfully, in under 5 minutes, offended pretty much everyone at the party.
You should have planned better. Should have planned better. What is offensive to some people is not offensive to others. I think that he was very honest with you when you called him, and he said, are there going to be any children at the party? I would say, there aren't going to be children, but there are a lot of older people who have the ears of a child, and if there's going to be any music there that's going to be offensive, we don't want that kind of music.
A few curse words every now and again is a little less offensive than the lyrics that this man used in front of these people.
That is your problem. He did not breach your contract. He showed up, he played his experimental music, which is what he told you he was going to play, and he couldn't book another gig after you fired him. So you have to be more careful.
Your Honor?
What?
I do have a copy of my lyrics to just one of my songs that I do.
I don't do experimental lyrics.
All right.
If it's not Sinatra or Feinstein, I don't do it. Got it?
Okay.
But I think that you were very honest with her. You said, I do original experimental music, and are there going to be any children there? Did you get paid, sir?
Yes.
You worked for 20 minutes?
Well, I played for about 20 minutes. It takes a good half hour to set up and break everything down.
So by the hour, you made more than you ever made before. Is that right?
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's right. Case is dismissed.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
19-year-old pre-foreclosure specialist Linda Big is suing her ex-fiancé, 28-year-old customer service rep Roberto Rios, for punching her in the mouth, resulting in the loss of her tooth.
Now this is case number 189 on the calendar in the matter of Big versus Rios. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Miss Big, you claim that the defendant, who was your former boyfriend, punched you in your mouth, causing you to have serious dental problems, resulting in tooth having to be extracted, false tooth put in your mouth. You're suing him for $5,000.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Rios says he never put his hands on you, that you had prior problems with your teeth, and that he is in no way responsible for your current dental problems. Who is this gentleman?
This is my father.
Not a dentist?
No, I'm sorry.
All right. You want to tell me when this problem happened between you and the defendant?
Yes, on January 4th, 2003, we had gone to a holiday party. We had had a couple of drinks. He consumed a lot of alcohol and became intoxicated. We went back to our apartment.
You were living together at the time?
Yes, we were actually engaged. We went back to the apartment. We had been arguing, and it came to a point where he became violent, and he started hitting me. And we started arguing and led into the bathroom. And that's where he flushed my phone down the toilet. And I have proof showing that I had to go get a new phone.
I don't care about the phone.
Okay.
I always thought that I don't care about the phone. The phone's not relevant.
Okay, and that's when the point he said that I didn't...
He flushed your phone down the toilet?
Yes, Your Honor. And he said he did not want me to call the police like the last time he did it. I have proof from April 7th, 2002.
January is where we're at. So you're having an argument, you're fighting back and forth. He goes into the bathroom and he flushes the phone down the toilet, according to you.
Okay.
Go ahead.
At that point, he had left the apartment, and I had gone out to the car with him. And I had sat...
Just a second. So he flushes the phone down the toilet, and then you followed him outside?
Yes.
Why?
Because we were trying to... Well, actually, I was trying to work things out. I was trying to talk to the defendant.
So you're trying to talk to him even though he's drunk?
Well, yes.
He was leaving the house to leave?
Yes.
And you didn't want him to leave?
No.
Go ahead.
Okay, so he proceeded to the driver's side of the vehicle. He had sat in. I had sat in the passenger side. That is when he walked around to my side, hit me in my mouth right here. And I said, I think my tooth is loose. And I felt it, and I wiggled it, and it was loose.
Okay. Now, after January 4th, did you continue to live together?
We were, yes, but...
The answer is either yes or no.
Yes.
Until when did you live together?
It was about 3 months later that I finally moved out. We had been separated.
I'm asking you, how much after January 4th did you live together?
For approximately 3 months. It was actually at the end of March, I believe.
And when you were living together from January 4th until the end of March, did you share a bedroom?
Well, actually, I slept on the couch a few nights, and I stayed at a friend's house.
You're playing with words with me, and I don't like it. I asked you if you shared a bedroom together, and you said, well, actually, I stayed at a friend a few nights. Now, what does that mean? Does that mean that either you lived together, but a couple of nights you slept out at a friend's?
Well, that was my place of residence. I had all of my belongings there, except for overnighters. We were not sharing a bed, Your Honor.
From January 4th to the end of March, you did not share a home together. Well, did not share a bed together, did not sleep together. Is that what you're telling me?
I had slept in the bed a couple of nights, yes. We were not talking to each other.
From January 4th to the end of March, you're telling me that you were not talking to each other? You were not speaking to each other, but living in the same home. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, we were living there.
Now, what happened the end of March?
Well, I had felt some discomfort in the back of my tooth because I had a tongue piercing, and I thought it was because of the piercing that was making my tooth hurt. And on April 4th, it had hurt really bad, and I put a napkin back there, and it was bleeding. So I went to the dentist, and that's when they took x-rays and told me my bone was gone.
Yes.
And I have a letter from the dentist here stating that a tooth had to be extracted because there's 2 reasons. One is periodontal disease.
I'll take a look at the...
Okay.
Is that part of your medical record?
Yes, this is...
Let me take a look at it.
My medical records are behind the letter from the dentist.
Did you take your tongue ring out?
Yes, I did. I had to.
When did you take your tongue ring out?
I took it out actually a month after. It was in February. Sometime I had to take it out because I was having a lot of discomfort in the back of my tooth.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it had been because of the tongue ring itself.
No, maybe it was.
It turned out it wasn't.
Well, I don't know. How do I know that? Anyway, let me hear, Mr. Rios, your version of the events of the 4th of January, 2003.
Okay, Your Honor, to begin with, this girl has a lot of problems, and I try to deal with it.
I'm not interested in her problems, Mr. Rios. I'm not a therapist. I am a judge. Okay. I want to know what happened on January 4th, sir.
We bickered, but there was never nothing like that. I tried to leave the apartment because she got violent with me.
On January 4th?
I tried to hide in the bathroom first.
Let's go slow. Okay. January 4th.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we went to a holiday party, and we both been drinking. We came home, we bickered, and Linda got a little bit heavy with me. She cornered me and was like, you're not going nowhere, you know, we're gonna argue, and I'm like, I don't want to argue. Let me go in the bathroom, take a shower, we'll calm down, it'll be fine. No, she shoved her way in, locked me in. I said, whoa. I said, you need to let me go. She goes, what? She goes, I have my phone. She goes, I'll call the cops if you leave. So I took the phone, I flushed it. I'm like, no. I'm like, I am leaving. I said, you're freaking me out. She would not let me leave. She held me against my will. I finally got out of the bathroom and left the apartment because of that.
So on January 4th, you tried to leave.
Mm-hmm. I made it out. I got in my car. She forced her way in my car, kicking my door, ripping the door open. And
which door?
The driver's side.
Were you in the car already?
Yeah. She jumped in the car and attacked me in the car.
Jumped in on whose side?
On my side. She opened the door and jumped in.
On the driver's side.
Right, so I proceeded to get out the passenger side door. We got out of the car. We talked for a moment. I had to leave. I got in my car and I left. And then I'm the one who ended up moving out first. I paid the month's rent and I said, you know what? I can't be with you anymore. I can't handle your anger and your rages that you go through. And my witnesses helped me move.
Put your hand down.
The following day, 5 a.m., I called my friend and said, I need you to help me move. This girl's really lost it. I need to get out right now. By the time Miss Big got home in the evening, I was gone.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
My daughter had no pre-existing dental condition prior to...
Of course she did. She had a tongue ring. Tongue ring isn't her mouth, is it not?
I was
that they play like this.
No problems with teeth.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Linda Big says ex-fiancé Roberto Rios punched her in the mouth. Roberto says Linda has trumped up the charge.
Well, let me ask you a question, Judge. She said that you lived together till the end of March.
Oh, we shared a bed, definitely. I don't know why she's sitting there acting like we did.
Just a minute. Did she live with you until the end of March?
Well, you know, I love her. I loved her. I want to make it work.
So you went back?
Yeah.
And how long did you stay together after you moved back?
April. I moved out. Okay. I had enough.
Did you have an argument in April?
She just came home one day. I was cleaning the apartment, and she started going off on me. I'm like, you know what? That's it. Breaking point. I don't want to go through this again. The cycle was beginning all over again to where she was going to get violent with me. I don't want nothing to do with it. I told her straight up. I said, I don't want to be with you anymore. I'm sorry.
So you left either the end of March or the beginning of April?
It was around April, around that time.
Okay. Do you have anything to add to this?
Yes, Your Honor. I just wanted to state that my daughter had no pre-existing dental condition prior to...
Of course she did. She had a tongue ring.
Dental, Your Honor? I'm sorry.
She had a tongue ring. Well, tongue ring isn't her mouth, is it not?
I was
that they play like this.
No problems with teeth. No problem with her teeth, Your Honor. As far as the rages, I've raised her for 18 years. There's never been any sign of rage. She's never been...
I'm telling you this right now, sir. She had a problem on the night of January 4th, 2003. And I'm going to tell you why.
Okay.
Because he went to leave the house to get away from her. She wasn't finished talking to him yet. Do you understand? If she were frightened of him, as she seemed to indicate at the beginning, that he flushed her phone down the toilet, and she was going to call the police, then what you do is when he gets into his car to leave, you say, thank God he's leaving. Now I can call the police and change the locks. Instead, she followed him outside and continued the confrontation.
Right.
Do you understand that?
I can understand that from a mature woman, but this is her first relationship. She's very naive. He took advantage of her. And also, as a man, I don't think there's ever an excuse for a man to strike a woman.
I don't think he did.
Okay.
I don't think he did. I'm
Okay.
telling you.
Okay.
I'm telling you that I don't think he did.
So the dental report that there's two instances where it could cause that type of damage to her tooth, you're disputing it, I'm saying?
No, sir. I think that it's very possible that she got hit in the mouth or that she had some trauma to the tooth at some point.
Okay.
I don't believe that he hit her in the mouth, causing that trauma.
Why would that be, Your Honor? I'm just inquisitive.
Why would that be?
Yes.
Very, very easy, sir. Not that I have to answer your questions.
No, I'm just...
Because your daughter precipitated whatever problem there was on January 4th. He was trying to extricate himself from what was potentially a volatile situation, and she would not let him do it. So I discount what she's saying to me as to the court. No, you may not. You weren't there. You're asking me, and I'm giving you the courtesy of an explanation of what I'm thinking. And what I'm thinking was, if someone is afraid that someone is violent, then when they leave, they don't follow them outside to continue the confrontation. And then not see a dentist for 3 months when she says, I think my tooth is loose. Not see a dentist for 3 months, but wait until after he leaves and says, I've had it. Then she goes to the dentist.
That's when the tooth died, Your Honor. It caused extreme pain.
Did you hear what I said?
Yes, Your Honor.
Good. That's the reason why, sir. Your daughter is not naive, and if you were involved in her upbringing, and if she called you on January 4th and said, Rios hit me in the mouth.
If she had, Your Honor, that's correct.
Then you would have said, then you get yourself home, girl. You don't stay with him one more second. Instead, she shared a bed with him January, February, and March. Can't help you. Case is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step up.
What you did?
I don't want her anywhere near me. She's violent, and I don't want no one like that in my life.
If I knew about this earlier, I would invite him and a couple friends to come over and then we talk about it.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Pagan versus Whetstone, step forward, please.
Machine operator Demetrio Pagan Jr. is suing his neighbor, alarm company owner Chuck Whetstone, for the cost to repair his car. Demetrio says his daughter's boyfriend had to jump on the roof when Chuck's German Shepherd chased him.
Mr. Whetstone, what kind of a dog do you have, sir?
German Shepherd.
How old is this German Shepherd?
15 months.
Mr. Pagan.
Yes, ma'am.
On what date did your daughter's boyfriend jump on your car?
April 11th.
So the dog at that time was a little over a year old, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And it is your claim that this young man, who is how big? How tall are you, sir?
6'3".
6'3". Are you still growing?
No.
Who was 6'3" tall, jumped on the hood of your brand new car
Yes, ma'am.
to get away from Mr. Whetstone's German Shepherd,
Yes, ma'am.
which had gotten loose. Mr. Whetstone's defense is, it was just a puppy, right?
Yes, ma'am.
When this puppy was a year old, how much did he weigh?
68 pounds.
Okay, 68 pounds, and if it's a German Shepherd, that is pure muscle. No flab, right?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Demetrio Pagan Jr. claims neighbor Chuck Whetstone owes for the cost to repair his car roof.
Step up. Tell me your name.
Roland Miller.
How old are you, Roland?
20.
Are you afraid of dogs?
Yes.
All dogs or just big ones?
Just big ones.
Tell me what happened on April 11th. Tell me where you were.
Well, I was standing at the end of the driveway, and Jacinia and her cousin, they was like at the beginning of the driveway where the garage meets, and they started running inside the garage, and I turned around and looked, and I seen this dog just coming across the yard. And so I ran in the house, but they closed the door already, so I didn't have no choice.
So they ran in the house and closed the door on you?
No. They ran inside the garage. It's a door inside the garage. They ran in and closed the door. By the time I had to run to the door, it was too late, so I just jumped on top of the car. It was the closest thing, and the dog was, you know, barking, and someone came in and got it.
Was the dog barking as it was coming across the yard?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Whetstone,
Yes, ma'am.
how did your dog get out, sir?
My son was taking him from the house to the...
This is son.
Actually, his younger brother. They were both out in the front yard at the time this happened.
Step up. Tell me your name.
Charles Whetstone,
How old are you, Charles?
19.
How'd the dog get away?
My little brother was taking him out to his kennel, and the dog pulled away from him. And I was sitting in my truck because we were getting ready to go to the dirt bike store.
And?
And the dog pulled away from him, went down the driveway, crossed the street into the neighbor's yard, and he was just sniffing around. As soon as I saw him get loose from my brother, I was out of my truck and I was chasing after him.
When you say you were chasing after him, that connotes, at least in my mind, that you were running.
Well, I wasn't like full out running, but yes, I was like jogging after him.
Show me how you were jogging. Give me an example.
An example?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just jogging kind of slow because I know my dog he's not a vicious dog at all, you know.
I didn't ask you to editorialize about his personality.
Okay.
I asked you if you were running after the dog. That means the dog was running away from you.
Yes, he
Now,
was.
when you called, what's the dog's name?
Nico?
Nico. So you saw Nico get away from your little brother.
Yes.
And as soon as you saw that, you jumped out of the truck?
Yes.
And what did you say?
I started calling for my dog. I started yelling.
Yelling.
Nico.
Nico, Nico. And did Nico stop?
No, he did not.
Because he's not well
trained.
Perfect. May I see photographs of your car?
They're not too good, too clear, but that's all I have.
You really went up on the top of the car. This isn't the hood.
On top
You went
of the
up
roof.
the roof of the car.
Yeah.
You couldn't get far enough away from Nico.
Closest thing.
How long had you had the car, Mr. Pagan?
So 2003, I gave it to her for Christmas.
There's a new
And
car.
that-
You have
4
an
months when
estimate?
that happened. Yeah.
You have an estimate
Yes,
to
I do,
fix
ma'am.
it?
I have 2 estimates.
Can I see it, please? Mr. Whetstone, your defense in this case was that Mr. Pagan should look to his daughter's boyfriend for reimbursement because his daughter's boyfriend acted like a fool for jumping on the hood of the car, and or the fact that he was a sissy because your dog is just a puppy. Right. Both of those defenses fall on deaf ears, sir. They are both ridiculous. You are responsible as the dog's owner to ensure that the dog is at all times under control of either an appropriate adult or in an enclosed area. I would be afraid, I love dogs, and I would be afraid of a 70-pound German Shepherd coming lumbering across my property, barking, and I would look to escape the best way that I could.
He wasn't being vicious. He wasn't acting...
That is subjective, sir. Some people are afraid of dogs.
I know. One of my friends is actually deathly afraid of German Shepherds as well. But once she saw that my dog was friendly, she didn't have a problem with him being around.
So your friend isn't suing you. He's suing you because your dog got out of your control because you sent your 13-year-old brother out to do it, and he couldn't control the dog.
He could control the dog.
He did not control the dog, sir, because the dog got loose. And the dog did not respond to your verbal commands because, according to you, you got out of your truck and you started to yell, "Nico, Nico," which he promptly ignored. You want to say anything else? You're going to look foolish, sir. What you should have done is say, "I'm sorry my dog got loose, causing damage to your car. Show me what the expense is, and I will take care of it." There is absolutely nothing, sir, that you can say that would be intelligent that would change my mind. But if you wish to say something, I am going to give you an opportunity.
After that, ma'am, no.
Very good. Did you have the car fixed yet?
No, ma'am.
Well, you go and have it fixed.
Yes.
And I hope that he has homeowner's insurance because maybe his homeowner's insurance will take care of it. If not, he's going to pay you $1,495.72. Judgment for the plaintiff. That's all. Thank you. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step.
21-year-old homemaker Christina Peel is suing her baby's uncle, 20-year-old Kyle Jarvis, for smashing out her car window and filing false charges with CPS. Kyle says Christina is an irresponsible mother.
Quiet in the courtroom, please. All rise. Okay. Your Honor, this is case number 161 on the calendar in the matter of Peel versus Jarvis. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated, sir. Have a seat, please.
Who is this?
This is my witness, Frederick Hollowell.
Sit down. Miss Peel, Mr. Jarvis is your baby's uncle. His brother, who is your baby's father, is incarcerated. Is that right?
Yes.
Your complaint alleges that Mr. Jarvis moved in with you after his brother went to jail. He was always a very good uncle. Mr. Jarvis says that your relationship with him became a more intimate one than just him being the uncle to your baby. You claim that he owes you for rent, that he got angry with you at some point and he smashed the windows out of your car, and that he filed false reports against you with Child Protective Services.
Yeah, that's right.
Mr. Jarvis says he doesn't owe you any rent because you never paid any rent, which is why you got evicted. He did, in fact, get angry at you once because you were out of the house or something. And he did smash the windows on a car, but it was his car. And finally, the charges that he filed against you with Child Protective Services, he says were true, and they were filed because he was attempting to protect his nephew. That's the case. So let's start with one thing at a time. He moved in with you when?
Sometime in January. We got a place.
Of what year?
2003.
When did his brother go to jail?
I'm not sure of the date.
When did your brother go to jail, sir? See, you're a real close family. What?
2000, Your Honor.
Is he still incarcerated?
Yes, he is.
You moved in January of 2003?
Yes, Your Honor.
Why?
She was asking me to move in with her so I could be closer to Jeffrey and stuff, and she wanted to move out of her mom's house.
So you moved into an apartment together?
Actually, it was a trailer.
What was your arrangement as far as paying rent?
We'd go halves on it.
Did you pay your half?
Yes.
For how long?
For pretty much as long as I was staying there.
And you say he didn't pay rent?
He wasn't even working. He had no income. There was no way he could have made the rent, and I did not want to leave my mom's house. He told me his parents were abusing him.
Did you pay the rent?
Yes, I did.
Show me.
I don't have the statements with me because he took them when he left my house.
What statements?
The receipts.
All you needed something from the landlord. So you don't have proof that you paid the rent either?
No.
He says you didn't pay rent, and that's why you got evicted. Were you evicted from the trailer?
Yes, because the landlady said the police were there too much because Kyle kept bringing him over.
If you come to court seeking half rent, you have to establish that you, in fact, paid the rent. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay. So now we're going to forget about rent. Now let's hear about the car window. Did you smash out the car window?
Yes, Your Honor, I did.
Why did you do that?
Because I got mad because she was out late, and when she came back with Fred, she...
That's Fred?
Yeah. I think that's Fred, yeah.
Shh. Go ahead.
So when she came back with Fred, I asked her where was she going because it was like 10 o'clock at night. She didn't answer me. She just ran and jumped into his car, and she took off, and I got mad because she left a 2-year-old with a 15-year-old that was having sex with their boyfriend, and I punched out the back window of the car.
Now, you said the car. What car was this?
I think it was a 83 Oldsmobile.
It's an 88 Oldsmobile.
Why did you think that you were entitled to do that?
Well, because I had the money to pay the first payment on the car, and my name was first on it, so I punched out the window.
Who purchased the car?
Me and Tina.
The two of you?
Yeah.
Is that right?
That's correct.
So it was in both of your names?
Yes. I got the papers right here.
Okay, can I see that, please? Okay. The car was purchased in March of 2003. On what date did you knock the window out on the car, sir?
I'm not sure.
What day, Miss Peel?
It was the 19th, 03/1903.
Can I see the report, please? March 19th. You just got in the car.
Yes.
Where is the car now?
It got repoed because Kyle went down after he left and told a guy that I wasn't going to make the payment.
So what are you suing for?
For the loss of my car, for the damages.
But you didn't have the car. Nobody paid for the car.
I have to pay for the window, though.
No, you both have to pay for the window, and he broke the window.
Well, he told the police he would pay for the window, and he was supposed to. He promised he would, and he didn't.
Okay, they'll get him. And the car was repossessed, is that right?
Yes.
Perfect. So then we just took care of the car. Now let's talk about the CPS reports. Why did you file reports to Child Protective Services?
Because I was concerned about my nephew's well-being.
Tell me what kind of reports you filed, sir.
This is hearsay, so I don't know if it counts.
What?
But I was hearing that Fred was doing drugs, and my nephew was staying with Tina, and she was staying with Fred, and I didn't want him to be around drugs.
So somebody told you that Fred was doing something that was bad.
Yeah.
How many times did you call?
I think I called about 5, 6 times.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You probably made some errors in judgment with a lot of the men that you lived with, including his son.
I've never lived with his son.
Then you made a bigger error in judgment in having a baby with his son.
Yes.
And later today,
She had attempted to poison her mother.
Well, let me ask you this question. When did you know about that?
About a year before that actually happened.
Then how could you let your 19-year-old daughter sign a lease with her?
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Christina Peel says her baby's uncle, Kyle Jarvis, smashed out her car window and filed false charges with CPS. Kyle says he found out Christina was doing drugs.
Did Fred move in when you moved out?
Yeah.
Is that right, Fred?
That's not correct, Your Honor.
Step up, Fred. Fred, what's your last name?
Fred Hollowell.
How old are you?
24, Your Honor.
Ever been arrested?
Yes, I have.
When was the last time you were arrested, Fred?
About 6 months ago.
For what?
Probation violation.
What was the nature of your probation?
Burglary.
What was the nature of the violation?
Movie.
You were arrested because you moved?
Yes, the probation department that I'm with, we have to contact and let our probation officer where we're at all times.
When was the burglary, Fred?
October 2002.
Prior to the arrest, had you been arrested?
I've been arrested once before,
For?
having a disorderly conduct with my ex-fiancée.
And that's it?
That's it.
Never anything involving drugs?
No.
Who do you work for now?
I was working for a restaurant.
Does that mean that you're not working now?
No, I'm not working.
Can I see the reports, please, that you have? CPS.
Here's the one for child abuse. That's pretty much the only one we got for right now.
Okay. Well, at least on one occasion when they went out, they found that everything was in perfect order. Sir?
Yes.
You also reported that they weren't feeding your nephew?
I do believe that's the one my mom called in on.
No, you're the reporting party.
Oh, okay. Then yeah.
That they weren't feeding him, that he was dirty?
Yeah.
That you thought he was abusing him?
Yes.
Were you angry that she had a new boyfriend?
No.
No? You sure about that?
Yes.
Yeah, he was, because he tracked me down to his house and showed up with the crowbar at the door saying that I needed to be home right away, and he
Well, that was when he said that he found your babysitters having sex in front of your child.
That's not true.
Is that right?
Yes.
That's what you say that you saw that got you furious and you broke out the window.
Yes.
I assume that this is your son?
Yes, it is, Your Honor.
Step up. Your other son is incarcerated. How many children do you have?
I have 2 children.
Do you ever see this grandchild?
She refuses to let myself and my wife see him.
Any particular reason?
These people have harassed me, calling the cops on me, CPS, saying I'm abusing my child. This man right here has tried to kill me. Once I told him I was calling the cops because I had a restraining order and did not want him there. He punched me in the chest, knowing I have lung problems, breathing problems, and heart problems. And I just want to be left alone. I'm tired of seeing the cops at my house 2-3 times a week. And I've gone through years of restraining orders. It doesn't work.
When was the last time you called Child Protective Services and/or the police on Miss Peel?
I can't remember.
Give me a year.
2003.
Give me a month.
Guess in
Your Honor,
March.
they have called him.
Just a second. I asked for the last date. Do you have the last date?
Yes, it was during March of 2003. They showed up at my residence.
Who do you live with?
I live with my mother.
You don't live with her?
She lives with me.
She lives with you at your mother's house?
Yes.
And the baby?
Yes.
What does your mother do for a living?
She works at a hospital. She's a laundry worker.
Are you working?
Not right now.
And you're not working?
No.
So who's supporting all of you?
Pretty much my mom right now.
Why did you call Child Protective Services and/or the police in March of this year?
Wanted to make sure my nephew was okay.
That's not a reason to call the police or Child Protective Services, sir. That's an abuse of the system.
Well, when you hear things from your friends around town that somebody's doing drugs around your 2-year-old nephew, you just call them.
No, not time after time after time, sir. After a period of time, it becomes harassment. You understand that?
Mm-hmm.
What your friends are saying may or may not be true. The way to discover that is to engage her in having a reasonable relationship. Instead, you acted in a volatile fashion. You understand what I'm talking about? Knocking out car windows, coming to her house where she was with a crowbar, whatever it was. It was inappropriate. Now, you also made some errors in judgment. Is that a fair statement?
Yes.
Okay. You probably made some errors in judgment with a lot of the men that you lived with, including his son.
I've never lived with his son.
Well, then you made a bigger error in judgment in having a baby with his son.
Yes.
And then you lived with somebody else before you lived with him. Is that right?
I didn't live with him. We got the place together, yes.
Lived with him! It's a trailer. We're not talking about living in Helmsley Palace. We're talking about living in the small confines of a trailer. So you lived with somebody else before you lived with him?
Yes.
And that was an abusive relationship towards the end?
Yes.
Then you lived with him, and it's an abusive relationship with him?
Yes.
And with him? Now you're living with him?
Yes.
I don't know how many there were in between. You've made a lot of errors in judgment. You got it? You have to stop harassing her.
Yes,
You
Your Honor.
understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
If you're concerned about your grandson and want to see your grandson, sue for visitation. But that's much more difficult than just picking up the phone and making a police report. You're not entitled to a financial award, Miss Peel, against these people. If they don't stop doing it, I suggest that you file a lawsuit for abusive process.
So he doesn't have to replace the window or anything?
Actually, I told the car salesman that I'd take care of it with him personally.
So you're going to take care of the window?
Yeah, I told him personally that I would. It'll take me some time.
Good. So then you take care of the window.
Yeah.
And the cost that I had to pay of getting the locks changed because he took off with the keys?
Show me that you paid for it.
I paid $400 deposit and it was taken out of that.
All I asked for was proof. You don't have the proof. The car was repossessed. I've already given them the drill with regard to filing reports that ultimately rise to the level of harassment. But I'm telling you, Miss Peel, somebody who has had a baby with somebody who is incarcerated, lived with at least 3 people in a relatively short period of time. 2 of those relationships were abusive. demonstrates to me that you are not exercising good judgment as a parent. Do you understand what I said to you?
Yeah, but I didn't live with her. He's only been
Goodbye!
What is our excuse? You may step out.
Hey, I don't think it was right. I think I should have got the money.
And that's just all about the Benjamins.
These people have harassed me all my life. Well, for the last few years.
All I'd like to see is my nephew in good health, you know?
I moved all the way to Vegas to get away from these people, and it still went on.
My brother said he's gonna sign over parental rights to me.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of McCoy versus Muhammad. Step forward.
19-year-old home health care provider Mushana McCoy is suing her former roommate, 19-year-old home health care provider Aisha Muhammad, for breaking their lease. Aisha says Mushana sabotaged her relationship.
Ms. McCoy, you and the defendant have been good friends. You both wanted to try living together. You signed the 6-month lease on an apartment. And Ms. Mohammed moved out after 2 months. You want her to pay her share of the remainder of the lease. Ms. Mohammed says that you made life unbearable. She moved out because she was afraid for her safety. You moved in on what date?
April 10th, 2003.
And it was a 6-month lease on how many bedrooms in the
2 bedroom, 1 bath.
And you both signed the lease?
Yes.
And you moved out when?
I moved out May 20th.
So you were there not even 2 months, but
Yeah.
you probably paid for April and May.
Yeah.
And what was the rent?
$625.
And were you splitting that in half?
Yes.
Ms. Mohammed, you're going to have to convince me, madam, that you had a valid reason for breaching your lease, forcing her to assume your responsibility for the remainder of the lease. I'm ready.
Oh, well, the first instance, she wanted me to go to her grandmother's, and I didn't go, so she was upset about that. And then she started making little comments like, because I would stay at my boyfriend's throughout the week. She'll say, if you don't spend more time here, I'm going to change the locks, and that if I pay rent here, I need to stay here. And then also I found a cable bill for over $200 of lesbian pornography, and I felt very uncomfortable with that fact. And my boyfriend had called one day for me. I was there, I was at work, and she told him that I was cheating on him, I was sleeping around, just like things to break us up, basically. I found out that she did it, and I decided that I couldn't live with the enemy. I had to move out.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Mushana McCoy says ex-roommate Aisha Muhammad owes for breaking a lease. Aisha says she moved out because Mushana had ulterior motives.
You have anything you want to tell me?
Yes, ma'am. May 17, 2003, I was at work. Her boyfriend called me at work. He actually wanted to see if Aisha was there, but she wasn't there. And he said, well, I'm going to break up with Aisha. And I said, why? And he said, because I think she's cheating on me. She's nasty, and a whole lot of horrible things he said about her. And so he asked me, was another guy over there visiting our apartment? And I said, well, her ex-boyfriend was there, but they're just friends. And he was like, well, I kind of figured who it was already. And that's all I said to him. So after that, he called again.
Ms. McCoy.
Yes, ma'am.
You were being a troublemaker. That doesn't give her the right to break her lease. But just so that you understand, I believe, and Officer Petrie Hawkins Bird believes, that you were being a troublemaker. A good friend says, listen, I don't want to hear your nasty talk about my friend. And don't ask me about who's over here visiting. That's none of your business, or at least you're not going to get that information from me. Instead, you tell him that an old boyfriend was over visiting. That's being a troublemaker, Miss McCoy. Who is this?
This is my mother. She bear witness to the things she did.
Just a second.
May I add something?
Of course.
I moved the girls in myself. Mushana had little or no support from her family. And the reason why she didn't have any support, there was conflict within her family. She had attempted to poison her mother, and so her and her mother had
Well,
lost
let me
their
ask you
bond.
this question. When did you know about that?
Probably about a year before that actually happened.
Then how could you let your 19-year-old daughter sign a lease with her? If what you're telling me now you think is important to this case, what kind of a mother are you?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She's a very responsible young lady.
She wasn't responsible when she moved out of the apartment. She left the plaintiff stuck with a lease that she can't afford to take care of herself, so she was not responsible.
All the deposits that was put on the department was left in Mushana's. Food was bought a day before the move. We left that for Mushana. We try to be very responsible because
you
Mushana
were irresponsible. Stocking the refrigerator does not take care of $1,242. That's her share of rent over 4 months.
I'm saying it was unfortunate for both of the girls, but we didn't try to, like...
You didn't give her a choice. Your daughter just picked herself up and left. She owes the plaintiff $1,242. Judgment for the plaintiff, that's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
A child accused of a crime.
He's trying to say that I threw rocks at his truck.
You think he's crazy?
Neighbors at odds.
Do you like him?
No.
Why don't you like him?
Why are they worried about this man next door?
I've seen him sit in the driveway, staring at the house.
He's took me to the park in his car, and now he's turning around doing this.
Judge Judy.
I can tell like that when somebody's not telling me the truth. Do we understand each other?
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Sheindlin. The people are real. The cases are real. The rulings are final. This is her courtroom. This is Judge Judy. Retired machine operator Gary Richmond is suing his neighbor, Monica Clark, for damage to his truck. Gary claims Monica's son, 9-year-old Austin, pelted it with rocks. Monica is countersuing for harassment and invasion of privacy.
Yeah, this is case number 190 on the calendar in the matter of Richmond versus Clark. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have seats.
Mr. Richmond, it is your claim that the defendant's 9-year-old is a little terror and threw some rocks at your truck.
Yes.
Caused damage. Miss Clark, his mother, says that he's not a little terror, he's a little angel, and that you have been harassing the family, harassing her, harassing the little boy. You've also been engaging in some sort of lewd and lascivious behavior involving her, and she is counterclaiming. How long are you living in your current house?
I've been there 11 years.
Is she your immediate next-door neighbor?
Across the street.
Now, her parents live there, according to what I've read.
Yes, they are. They are the residents.
And she moved in with her parents recently.
Yes.
When did you move in with your parents?
In November.
And prior to Miss Clark moving in, had you had any difficulty with her parents?
No.
Now, are there other neighborhood children?
Yeah, there's about 11 children in our street.
Have you ever made complaints about any of the other children?
No.
Tell me when Austin damaged your truck, what you saw.
On April 23rd at 5 p.m., I went out and caught Austin Clark throwing rocks at my truck and denying that he did it with rocks still in his hand.
Okay,
and I have a police report here for it.
Was your truck damaged at that time?
Yes, it was, ma'am.
Do you have pictures of that damage?
I don't have pictures, but I have a body shop report.
Well,
and
why didn't you take photographs of it? I'm just curious, Mr.
Well, in the paint, a lot of it wouldn't come out unless you had an awful good camera.
Did you try?
I don't have a camera, ma'am.
Was that the only time that you saw him throw rocks at your truck?
No, over the past 20 months.
Can I see the police report, please, and the estimate?
Okay. There you go.
Do you use this pickup truck for your business?
No, I'm not in business. I'm retired after 43 years.
Okay. Now, you say you've had trouble over the last 20 months with Austin. Have you ever spoken to his mother before about his
I've
behavior?
talked to his mother and the grandparents when they had him there.
What kind of conversations have you had with Miss Clark?
On April 19th was the last time I spoke to her of his actions and his grandparents.
What did you
of
tell
what
them?
he'd done. His previous actions was using a hammer on, he has 16 infractions, 4 of them to me.
Like what?
He's got my car 3 different times, tearing up the antenna, power antenna on it, throwing rocks at it, throwing mud and gravel on the hood.
Now, when you spoke to Miss Clark before on the 19th, what did she say to you?
She just laughed about it, and like, what you're going to do about it.
No, is that what she said? I want to know what she said to you.
That's basically what she said.
Did you go to her home, or did you meet her in the street?
No, I didn't meet her in the street. I was over helping her dad do some landscaping.
So you were friendly with her parents?
We had been.
How old are you, Austin?
9 years old.
You know this gentleman here?
Yes, I do.
Do you like him?
Yes, I do.
That's a lie. Now, you look at me very carefully, young man, because you know how many children I've had? A lot. So I can tell, like that, when somebody's not telling me the truth. And when they're not telling me the truth, I can make them very uncomfortable. Do we understand each other?
Yes.
Clearly.
Yes.
Now, I'm going to ask you that question again. Do you know this gentleman over here?
Yes, I do.
Do you like him?
No.
That's better. Why don't you like him?
Because he's blaming stuff on me.
What is he blaming on you?
He's trying to say that I threw rocks at his truck and beat his grill with a hammer.
Okay. Now, Austin, you look right here.
Mm-hmm.
Remember when you lied to me before?
Mm-hmm.
When you said you liked him? Right? You lied to me before, isn't that right?
Yeah.
That's not going to happen again, Austin.
Okay.
I'm not going to ask you specifically whether on the 23rd of April you ever threw rocks at a car. I'm going to ask you at any time, did you ever throw rocks or gravel at a car that was passing by or a truck?
No.
I don't believe you. So we're going to try it again. Because you have to know that I know the truth about everything. That's why they give me this job. We understand each other?
Yes.
Did you alone or with any of your friends ever toss rocks or gravel at a car that was driving by?
No, I did not.
Mm-hmm. Now, Austin, why would you think that this gentleman over here would say that he caught you with rocks in your hand?
I don't know.
He doesn't say that about any of the other children in the neighborhood. So why would you think that this gentleman over here would pick on a 9-year-old?
I don't know. He's been friends with me for I don't know how long. He's took me to the park in his car. He's played with me. I've played with his dog. He's gave me pop and everything like that. Now he's turning around doing this.
Well, why do you think he would do that? Do you think he's crazy?
No.
Hmm. Step down. Now, do you see, Miss Clark, how easily your son said, when I said to him, do you like the plaintiff? And he said, yes, I do.
Yes. At one point he did.
No, no. I didn't say, did you used to like him? I said, do you like him? And he looked at me with those blue eyes.
Yeah.
And with the same look that he said, no, I don't like him, he said to me, yes, I do like him. He was able to lie like that.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He sits in his truck and he just stares into my windows. I have to keep myself locked in my bedroom with my curtains closed because fear that he's looking at me.
What you're saying is he's a peeping Tom.
Exactly.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Gary Richmond claims neighbor 9-year-old Austin Clark damaged his truck with rocks. Austin's mom, Monica Clark, claims Gary's upset that she won't date him.
Now, you think of a reason why Mr. Richmond would, among all the neighborhood children, especially since he seemed to have liked him, why he would complain to you about your son's behavior.
He never complained to me about my son's behavior except for on the 23rd of April. When he came over in the morning, he said, I want you to come out here right now. He said, now I want you to look at this. He said he's seen him do it. I said, do you have any proof? He said
he just told you proof. He said he saw him do it.
Exactly. I said, Gary, when did this happen? He said, this happened last night. I said, well, Gary, that can't be true. I said, because I watched out my bedroom window and watched my son play off and on, and the rocks are right by my bedroom window. I would have been able to hear him. He said, no, well, then it happened sometime this morning. I said, no, Gary, that my son had no time this morning. He said, why?
Did you tell her that this happened in the morning or in the evening?
No, this is stated just like the police report says.
Well, see, the police report, Mr. Richmond,
when I caught him,
says that you reported damage to your car by an unknown person, and you had seen the neighbor's kid across the street throwing rocks around. You did not say that you saw him actually throwing rocks and hit your truck.
The officer, when he come, he did not. I've had 2 incidents. When they come out, they don't even want to write a report.
No, but I'm telling you, that's what it said. And you said it happened just like it said in the police report. That's what it says in the police report, that you saw him throwing rocks around, which I believe. Which I believe, because I don't believe him that he never threw rocks around. Because there isn't a 9-year-old boy who hasn't thrown rocks around.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay?
Exactly.
So I don't believe him. But this is what the police memorialized.
Like I said, they didn't want to write the report, and they wasn't home today at the time he did it for them to talk to.
Now, Ms. Clark, why would you think that Mr. Richmond would accuse your son, who we seem to like, as opposed to any of the other neighborhood children?
He complains about all the neighborhood children, not just my son.
I didn't say complained about. I said, why would he accuse your son as opposed to the other 11 children?
I believe it's retaliation because he asked me out on a few occasions, and I told him no.
So that's what you say in your answer. When did he ask you out?
In November, because
that's what I said, in November he asked you out.
But the very first time I moved in with my mother,
yes,
which was 4 years ago.
Yes. So 4 years ago he asked you out?
Yeah. 4 years ago, he asked me out for the first time. I turned him down.
Okay, so that's 4 years ago.
Then I come back in...
November.
No, I'm always at my mom's.
You came back in November to live with her.
Exactly, but I wasn't living with her at the time he asked me out again.
When was that?
July of '99.
So what you're telling me, Miss Clark, is that Mr. Richmond has had this unrequited love for you since 1999, and he manifests this unrequited love by 3 years later, in April, accusing your son of throwing rocks? Is that what you're telling me?
That's what I believe, yes.
Well, I would suggest that you take a good reality check. Take a reality check, believe me. I don't even have to ask him. He is not harboring an unrequited love for you for the last 3 years. Trust me, he's not. And that's not why he would accuse your son of throwing rocks at his truck. You want to get to your counterclaim and get there fast?
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm listening.
He harasses, he goes around telling people in the trailer court my kid's a bad kid and that I'm never there. He's never in school because I don't get up to take him.
Is that true?
No.
I mean, I didn't ask you if he's never in school. Does he sometimes miss school when he's not under medical care?
No.
I mean, it's very easy. All I have to do is call the school. Does he?
I got his report card and the medical from his doctor.
I just want to see how many days he's out of school.
And there is only 2 days that are unaccounted for.
I didn't ask how many days are unaccounted for. How many days absent is he?
For the whole year, I believe 11. Austin has asthma.
Well, he's got a couple of unexcused absences. But I would be concerned about his behavior if I were you, Miss Clark.
Oh, yes, I am very.
Because under all the things that deal with Austin's behavior,
needs improvement.
Every one of them, he got the lowest. Listens, follows directions, expects the property rights of others, shows self-discipline, needs improvement. Shows respect for proper authority, is responsible and dependable, gets along with his peers. He's got problems. So if somebody came to me and said, I've seen him doing some things around town, I would listen to them and not make up in my head that the reason he's making these claims against you is because he asked you out 4 years ago.
I have a witness that heard him ask me out.
Who cares?
And different things that he's done. He sits in his truck and he just stares into my windows. I have to keep myself locked in my bedroom with my curtains closed because I'm fear that he's looking at me. He stares in my windows. I have witnesses that see him do it.
Oh, really? I would like to hear the witnesses who's going to tell me that he's... I mean, what you're saying is he's a peeping Tom.
Exactly.
I want to hear a witness. Who are you?
Jason McGriff.
Who are you?
Friend of the family.
You're a friend of whose family?
I'm boyfriend and friend of the family. I met...
Just listen to me.
Yes, ma'am.
Take your hands out of your pockets. Put your hands down at your sides. When I ask you who you are, you say, I'm her boyfriend. Is that who you are?
Yes, ma'am.
Then don't give me a whole lot of who shot John. Don't say I'm a friend of the family. You're her boyfriend, right?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Gary Richmond claims neighbor 9-year-old Austin Clark damaged his truck with rocks. Austin's mom, Monica Clark, claims Gary's upset that she won't date him.
Okay. So if you lie to me, or if you don't tell me the truth right from the get-go, I tend to hold everything else that you say suspect. Do we understand each other?
Yes, ma'am. That is
what do you do for a living, sir?
I do lawn care.
And how long have you been involved with Miss Clark?
We've been going out for about 2 years.
Now, what do you want to tell me about Mr. Richmond and his looking through the window in her house?
I've seen him on several occasions sit in the driveway in his truck, staring at the house, drive around the park, following Austin, just being nosy, concerned about every little thing that Austin's doing. Told her stepdad that he would do anything to get her out of the trailer court, and I believe it's because she won't go out with him.
Thank you very much. Your intuition and your intuitive nature leads me to believe that you've made absolutely the wrong choice. Sit down. Now, I have heard nothing from your star witness that he is a peeping Tom. I've heard that he's a retired guy who may get in his truck and follow Austin around to make sure that he's not causing any damage. But that doesn't mean he's a peeping Tom. That's a nasty thing to say. Nasty. Your counterclaim's dismissed. I think it's nonsense. Damage is due to harassment and invasion of privacy. And I would pay more careful attention to your son's behavior, which seems to be going in all the wrong directions. Somebody's telling you, and somebody's telling you nicely that he's not doing the right thing, I would listen to it. Instead of getting my cackles up and saying he's making up stories about my son. In any event, I believe that your son threw rocks, and I believe that some of the rocks hit his truck, but I think you got an old truck, 1992 truck that probably had a couple of other spots on it. I don't see any photographs of the damage.
Miles on it.
I also don't see any photographs of it, sir, so I think that if you want to have those dings taken out of the truck, you can do it. You're not going to do it for $1,641. You're going to do it for $500. I'm entering a judgment for the plaintiff in that amount, and your counterclaim is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He's done 16 infractions around the park to other people, and 4 of those to me.
I know my son didn't do it.
A lot of the problem is the lack of supervision.
I know he didn't throw the rocks that day.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Wolford versus Pearson, step forward, please.
22-year-old homemaker Cameo Wofford is suing 27-year-old CNA Patricia Pearson for the cost of car insurance. Patricia claims Cameo is trying to run a scam.
Miss Wofford, the defendant was a friend of yours, and according to your complaint, somehow she owes you $280-some-odd for automobile insurance.
Yes.
So in 3 minutes, I'd like you to tell me how it came about that she owes you for automobile insurance.
Well, on the 15th of May, she asked me to have her car insured because she needed transportation to get back and forth to Buffalo because her daughter was sick. Unfortunately, she sells her babies to a black market.
What does that mean?
That means she sells her babies to these families, and they give her money.
You mean she has children that she puts out for adoption?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
And they would pay the car insurance every month, and it come to find out that she was never pregnant, so they cut her off.
So?
I had no money to pay it because that was her responsibility to pay it.
According to what I tried to piece together from your complaint, she asked you to put her car on your insurance because she didn't have a driver's license.
Yes.
You said okay.
Yes.
So you were assisting someone in committing a fraud against the insurance company and breaking the law. Is that right?
Well, I didn't know it was against the law to put...
You know it's against the law to drive a car without a license, don't you?
Yes.
And when you told the insurance company that you wanted to add another car to your insurance policy, they asked you on the form to name the other drivers, right?
No, I just...
Of course they do. Of course they do. In any event, what happened was she didn't give you the money. You put her car on your insurance. They canceled both of your insurances, and now you want the money back for your insurance. I'm going to give you a very fast lesson in jurisprudence. You cannot come into court asking a court to help you if you have unclean hands. So if you do something wrong and somebody else does something more wrong, it's not the court's job to figure out who did something that's wrong and, for want of a better term, wronger. Do you understand me?
Yes.
Now, the fact that you knew that she, an unlicensed driver, you were assisting an unlicensed driver, puts you in a position of coming to court with unclean hands.
I wasn't looking at it that way.
Well, I want you to look at it that way. I've just given you your lesson in jurisprudence. You have to know that you always have to do the right thing. And if you're going to help somebody to do the wrong thing, you're not going to get help from the courts to fix it. Got it? Mm-hmm. Good. Goodbye.
Whoopee! Yeah. I'm afraid. Enough! Ouch! My neck! Oh. Help me! Oh no! Oh my God! Whoa! Yeah. My neck! This is bad. Enough! I'm a prisoner, can't help. I can't feel anything. Oh my God. Oh, mayday, mayday! I like it. Cut me out of here. Cut me out of here. Ow, 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 ow. Help me! Oh. Yeah. My neck! I can't feel anything. I'm afraid. So cool.
Ah.